thrilled and honored to here in the next few minutes to have a friend of mine, former Jazz man Thurl Bailey. Big T will be on the Coach Scott Fields show tonight. But before he gets here, just want to give a few little shout outs to our sponsors, to guests and friends of the show. Want to thank you so much for all the support that you've given us here. We're, again, as we mentioned last week, we're a little more than 10,000 viewers plus. We got a great local following, a great national following, and international following. I want to thank the viewers tonight from new countries, Bob. We've added Brazil, we added Spain, and we added Israel to our viewership. So thank you guys so much for clocking in and spending time with us right here as we give you quality content. Tonight, our second guest will be John Madsen. John Madsen is a local guy who did great things. He was from Hunter High School, and I'll let him stand to correct me if I'm giving you the misinformation here. But Hunter High School ends up at the University of Utah, has a little time in the NFL, but has come back here to work with local athletes, getting them bigger, faster, stronger, getting them prepared for the next level of whatever journey, whether it's high school to college, college to pro. John will get you right. From our sponsors tonight, always want to thank Brave Haven Studios. As you can see, we've got our new virtual 3D set for you tonight. Bob, the producer back there behind the camera, has worked feverishly this last week to bring you this awesome setup that we have here tonight, and I think it looks good, Bob. I think there's a lot of neat things that we've got coming on with this virtual set that we'll talk about as we get more sponsors and stuff like that as well. So
yeah, absolutely, and it's a lot of fun. We still have some lighting issues that we're working with. This whole thing is a work in progress, and we appreciate everybody's patience with us as we grow this show and as it continues to grow and become something well worth watching.
Well, please sound off and let us know what you think about this 3D virtual set. I'm really excited about it. And when Bob was showing me, I was like, oh my goodness, that is great. So, send us a tweet or send us a message on Facebook. Let us know what you think of this new 3D set. We're excited to bring it to you. Brave Haven Studios right here in Salt Lake City, bravehaven.com. Get a hold of Bob Fitzgerald for your graduation and video montages for weddings, graduations. It could be maybe you're retiring from a company after many years and you're trying to have your twilight years. Get a hold of Bob and let him put together something for your reception, for your parties. He does still photography. He does live production shoots. As you can see, this is first class, high quality, high definition. Matter of fact, I don't know if you want all that high definition with my mug on here, but he does a great job. The phone number to get a hold of Bob is 801-738-8697, or you find him at bravehaven.com, home of Brave Haven Studios and the Coach Scott Fields Show. Also, with MetLife, with your financial planning division and all your financial planning needs, get a hold of Nick Fitzgerald, 801-999-3773. Give Nick a holler and let him put you on the right path so you can have your golden years. Pie 5 Pizza Company, the Sandy location. You can find them at pie5pizza.com. Great atmosphere. We may be doing a live shoot out there here in the near future. Neat little place they've got out there, Bob.
Yeah, it's great. And they're 9252 South Village Shop Drive in Sandy, just on the Quarry Bend there. Go in there, and my wife and I went there last week, and it was really good.
Yeah, it's kind of, you go in there, you pick your own crust, you pick your own sausage, you pick your own toppings. I mean, you can have it your way,
and not only the pizza was great, but the customer service was outstanding.
Weren't they great?
I mean, my gosh, the second we walked in until we left, I mean, it was just a great experience. Great staff there.
Good family feel, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, they made us feel so much. We had a birthday party out there a couple weeks ago, and they were first class. They welcomed us. They made sure we knew where the drinks were at. They helped us with our selection. They brought it right out to us, and we had a great time out there. And of course, they've got some TV set up. So, if you've got, with the NBA playoffs coming up, you take you and your boys, go down there, watch the games, order yourself up a pizza the way you want it, and just, tell the Pie 5 Pizza Company that the Coach Scott Fields Show sent you out there. Huh?
Yeah, that would be great.
You bet. Also want to give a little shout out, Salon Dante. quality hair extensions, cuts, colors, and the new Brazilian blowout. Get a hold of Kim Fields for your Brazilian blowout.
What is that, a Brazilian blowout?
You know what? If you called Kim Fields at 801-572-8812, I mean, there's products that go with it, and it just poof gets you looking right. Because as you can tell, I could use a Brazilian blowout, Bob.
Yeah, I'm more of a Connecticut crew cut myself.
There you go. Well, hey, don't say that you don't have some fun watching this show here, but give Kim Fields a call again at 801-572-8812. She's on about 94 South and 7th East right there in Sandy. Again, quality hair extensions, cuts, colors, and the new Brazilian blowout. When I say quality hair extensions, I'm talking about you're going to look as good as you want to look. You're going to look TV ready when she's done with you. Hey, also want to talk to you a little bit about the CoachScottFields.com. Bob has taken the time to put a guest book in there. So as you're viewing the show and when you're done watching the show, please go in there, look on the link for the guest book, leave us your comments. I want to thank Coach K-Ron Edmonds, who took the time to put a nice comment in there. K-Ron, believe it or not, Bob was a former player of mine that played for me back at Chowan. It was a junior college at the time, back in 1990. He's coaching himself right now, and he left us a real nice comment in there. So, K-Ron, thank you for taking the time to sign that guest book, and we look forward to having more comments, from our viewers there at that guest book. Also want to talk, too, if you're interested and you like what you see, there's also in the top right-hand corner on the home page, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, there's a donations tab there where you can, send donations if you like what you see and, just want to throw a little bit our way, just for support and sponsorship. We greatly appreciate you for that. I'll let you kind of explain.
Yeah, we just, it's a PayPal, so it's a secure payment system set up there, and you can go in there and donate whatever you'd like. If you'd like to, we'd appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
We're just trying to grow the show. This will give us a little cash to get a few more things going as we develop our sales staff and sales team.
That's right.
And if you're out there looking for some work, give us a contact, and we would love to talk to you about the opportunities we have here.
That's right. And with that said, we are, with our growth, we are putting together sales teams. We're looking for team leaders and sales teams for not only locally, but also for our national market and our international market. So there's 3 team lead positions that we're talking about, and then also 3 sales sponsorship teams that we can put together for sponsorships, ads, ad spaces. Bob, with our product that we got going here, we can have a looped kind of like 3D screen back behind us where we're going to have those sponsorships on there. So there's a lot of exciting things going on here with that, here as we grow the show. Also tonight, too, want to encourage the viewers to call in. You may have a question for Big T Thurl Bailey as you're watching this segment. You can call us at 801-738-8697. So there will be about a 3 or 4 minute segment where you can call in. You may have a question for Big T Thurl Bailey. We invite you to call in. But Big T Thurl Bailey has just walked in, so we're going to welcome him to our special edition segment. Big T Thurl Bailey. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Coach.
Came in on the motorcycle tonight?
Yeah, got the Harley out. How you doing? Nice weather for it.
Hey, I know you'd been here earlier, but we got to fire our logistics guy for sending you the wrong directions, right?
Yeah, I got a west instead of an east, but that's okay.
Fire that guy. Bob, whoever he is, get him off the payroll.
I can't do that.
So, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks,
How you
man.
doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here, man.
It's great to have you. We've got something new going on here. Bob has put together a virtual 3D set that we're having tonight. So the viewers tonight with this special edition, since we have the Big T on the show tonight, they're actually seeing a 3D set here in front of us. So it's pretty exciting what we got going on here, buddy.
I'm happy for you, man. It's awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Bob, our producer, as you met as you came in, has put in tons of hours with the lighting and the mics and all the graphics and everything going on. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of the vehicle where we empower players and coaches to try to enrich them and help them grow in their journey wherever they're at in their careers.
You're good at that. I've seen you in action, so.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. That's awful kind of you.
It's true, man.
So your family's doing well?
Family's doing great. The Jazz are done, so now it's the kids' turn.
There you go.
So
and there's a lot of exciting things going on with the kids. Your daughter having a great little career down at Arizona State.
She is.
She's playing the beach volleyball now, is she?
She's playing the sand now, and that's about over. They're into the Pac-12 tournament now, so that'll end, and then school will be out, so she'll come home for a little while.
Nice, and that's gonna make you and Mama happy, huh?
Yeah, and nice thing is she's happy. She's ready.
That's right.
She's ready to come home.
Good. And now your son is doing some great things with his AAU basketball this year. Brendo, gosh, he finished out the season strong this year, and now he's got some exciting things going on. Share with the viewers what Brendo's working on right now.
Well, Brendo is he loves basketball, as you well know.
Of course.
Yeah, he's worked with you, and he's young. He's 16. He's 6'7", but he's got some good skills.
He does. He can shoot it.
Yeah,
he can shoot it.
And he's worked on it a lot. Now he's working on other parts of his game, trying to take it to the hole strong and get used to that contact.
Right.
So he came to me and just basically, you know the whole story about the AAU stuff. But he wanted more of a challenge.
Right.
And so we found a team, a Dream Vision out of Las Vegas.
Nice. Great opportunity.
He's going to be joining,
Great opportunity. Brenda, if you're watching there tonight, buddy, good luck to you. I know you've got nothing but a bright future. And I like the fact that he's challenging himself, looking for better competition and better play. So that way when he's done with his AAU, he's going to come in with all that confidence, on how to incorporate what he's learned this summer, going into his last couple years of high school, because he's going to be carrying the American Fork team down there for a couple years, don't you think?
He's going to have a lot more responsibility. And the summer is the time where you work on your game, and it's not just about playing all the time. Dream Vision has had a couple of practices, boot camps on the weekend where all the kids come in.
Yeah.
The 17s, Chase Jeter, who's on the 17s team, and Duke's really heavy after him. But the 16s and the 17s practice together.
Nice.
They go 2 days on like a Friday, and then Saturday, and one on Sunday. And then all the kids go home, and then they meet. This weekend is the first tournament in Dallas.
Good.
So they'll get there.
That's great stuff. And, just the fact that he's going to play against players who are bigger, faster, stronger. He's going to learn, how to get that shot off quickly. He'll be able to learn how to draw the contact, and just become more aggressive, because as I've watched him grow this last year, he's gaining more confidence, and he's going harder for the rebounds offensively and defensively. He's got a nose for the ball, but man, when he catches and shoot, he can put it down now.
And the nice thing about him is he may not have a lot of those physical skills, but his basketball IQ is pretty high. So he catches on very quick.
Right.
He can read situations, a lot better now, and figure it out. And you know as well as I do, because you coached him, that when you tell him something, he's
soaks it up like a sponge.
Yeah.
He soaks it up like a sponge. And you college coaches out there who are watching this around the nation, just know that he is going to be a kid that's going to help your program, because not only does he get it done on the court, off the court, he's just a quality person. He's a chip off the old block there, so you're teaching
like
some
his
great
mom,
things. Cindy, you're doing a good job, Cindy, so keep him in line there. But he's going to have a great future, and it's going to be fun to watch him here the next couple of years, because he does work hard at it, and he loves the game, and it's fun to be around people who want to get better. And I think it's neat that he came to you and says, hey, I'm looking for an opportunity to get better, and what a great opportunity you've ever defined.
Friends,
you do. That's right.
Things that you like to do, and he was willing to do that.
But that's all part of the maturation process. Especially when a lot of people are tugging at you at different ages. You're 14, 15, 16. There's a lot of peer pressure out there. At some point, you got to stand firm for what you believe to get where you want to be ultimately. And I think it's great that he's made that sacrifice for himself. So, well, let's talk about some other things. I mean, gosh.
Lots happening.
Oh, a lot's going on. I mean, look at the Jazz right now. Ty Corbin, want to wish him and his family the best of luck. The Jazz have chose to go another direction with their coaching, and great people. And he did a great job here for years as an assistant with Coach Sloan. 4 years he was here as the head coach, and I think maybe the new direction. That's just one of those things where they choose, but. Great guy. He's going to land on his feet soon, because they're good people, good family, and we wish them nothing but the best.
We do, and you know better than I do, because I've never coached.
Yeah.
Only at the youth level, but that it really comes down to wins and losses.
Yeah.
And honestly, even if Ty didn't choose the team,
right?
The team is under his instruction.
Right. Sure.
And I think. For the Jazz, it really had nothing to do with Ty's coaching ability.
Oh, I don't believe so either. Yeah, because he did a good job with the young kids,
That's
and look where Trey Burke's at now compared to where he's at when he came in. And then he had a setback with an injury. So, the lineup was never really solidified for Ty, but he did do a nice job. Okay, he only had 25 wins for the year, but you can also look at it objectively and say, hey, with that group of guys, he did a nice job under the circumstances.
And you never heard any squabbles in the locker room. And that's really key, is when you have a team that's losing like that.
Yeah.
There was really, the locker room was fine. They had great leadership on the team.
They kept fighting all year. You didn't see him give up in that double overtime in Minnesota just last week. That right there shows you that they had no quit in them.
That's right.
And that's a reflection of the leadership. So that's Coach Corbin, and we know he's going to do well. And then not only Coach Corbin today, Coach Adelman stepped down today, for personal reasons. I believe his wife was having some medical issues, so we wish Coach Adelman the best. And of course, there's already rumors flying around about who they're talking about. And then you also have Mike Whitson today, who also was doing a pretty good job with his group, but again I don't know why I love this profession, but I do. And, sometimes that's just the choice you have to they make. But as a coach, you're prepared for that. And so we want to wish Coach Woodson the best also with his endeavors. Everybody's finger on the pulse says, Steve Kerr is like the main guy, going to be coming in there under Phil Jackson's tutelage, who played with him with the Bulls, won a championship. So you can kind of see the natural fit if that happens to work out, and I'm sure they'll do their negotiations, but we wish all those franchises the best of luck, because it is time of transition. The NBA playoffs are going on now. Had a great first weekend of games. Our poll question for tonight, let me just throw this at you. We kind of do it through social media. The poll question, it's really a two-man race, let's be honest. The MVP of the league. You were able to watch some games this year. You look at LeBron James, and of course, he's been consistent. He gets his done. He's just a freak. He's got unbelievable skill set with his size and his versatility. And then you look at Kevin Durant, who's leading the league in scoring this year. A lot of our viewers right now are sending in their choices, and I think they've seen LeBron win it for so many years that everybody's saying, "Oh, KD, it's Kevin Durant this year." Who do you like and why? And again, that's a multifaceted question.
It is.
When you look at how gifted and how talented these guys are and all the things that they're doing for their teams, but then you look at Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook was injured for a while. He stepped his game up and had that tear of 35-point-plus games during the year. So speak on it. Share us what you think.
You can't go wrong with either, but I would look at a variable of things. I look at that Miami team, and I look at how that team was created. I look at all that went on. And not that they necessarily paid for a championship, but they stacked the deck a little bit.
Pat Riley knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. And not
he's
that
got
there's
a nice
anything wrong with that.
No.
I mean, if you can do it. A lot of teams are trying to get there. They may not have the budget to do it.
Right.
But I look at the body of work that Kevin Durant's done. I look at his leadership. I look at the incredible numbers consistently, and not just, above average numbers. Numbers that we haven't seen the likes of in a long time.
Right. Since MJ.
Yeah.
And to go out there at his position as kind of a point forward.
That's right.
A lot of people will say, "Oh, he's a 7 foot." Well, he's long. He can shoot. He gets the basket. Even against Detroit in that last week, he misses one shot. A couple possessions later, he comes down, dunks to win the game. You could tell he was willing his team to win. And that's what you look for in an MVP. His skill.
And so I give it to KD. I think KD deserves it. And I look at that team and the way that team is molded. Look at what Scotty Brooks has done with that team.
Great job.
I played with Scotty in Minnesota, so I have a chance to talk to him about KD and that team. And KD is just a consummate pro. He's a consummate teammate.
Yeah.
So, based on numbers, though, even based on numbers, I think KD has just had an incredible season.
Like you said, I don't think you can go wrong with either one. And it's still a little early because I like to see whose team are going to progress. And you may be looking at the finals for your Western Conference team, your finals of your Eastern Conference team, and they may go head-to-head. But look what the Spurs are doing consistently every year. They've got that blueprint, and Coach Pop does a great job. Our poll question last week was, who do we think should be, our coach of the year, and who's going to win the league, or who do you think is going to be in the finals? And gosh, there's so many tangibles that you don't control as a coach, and as players, you try to keep healthy, and this is where the fun part comes in for the coaches, because it's now a game of chess, and you make those small adjustments to try to, gain back some of that, something that maybe you lost. But the road teams really were successful this weekend.
Right.
So you got to give them some credit, because that's when your role players have got to step up, because you expect your all-stars and your big guys to handle their business. But those role players who come in and put that 12 to 15 minutes in when you don't lose much when they come in, there's where you there's your difference, and it was fun to watch.
Well, I think if you talk about, if there's any such thing as a basketball genius, Greg Popovich is that.
Oh, wow.
Because when you look at his team, and no player on that team has played over 30 minutes the whole season.
Right.
You've got a coach that knows exactly what he's doing. He knows, and the players know what time it is now to be able to turn that on.
That's right.
And you talk about role players. Look at that team.
Oh, they've got the shooters. Yeah. They move the extra pass, the angles that they get.
And it's kind of a sandlot professional team, because you've got guys. I mean, Tony Parker obviously has been a great guard. But you look at the age of the guys, and you look at their roles on the team. Even guys coming off the bench.
Right.
You got the young kid, Leonard. I really like him, Kawhi Leonard, because as a young kid who comes in and just plays. You don't hear anything out of him. He just plays.
And when he left San Diego State, look how he worked on his game and got that jump shot into his game that he didn't have when he was with Coach Fisher. So within a couple years, obviously management and Pop was with him and said, hey, this is going to be your role. This is how you can help this team. Right. He put that into his arsenal, and that takes a lot of work and a lot of repetition.
Plus, he's hungry. He was one free throw away from a championship last year.
Oh, when that think about, and you were a player. You played at that level. You had success here with the Jazz. You have to live with that for a whole summer. Yeah. And you go to bed with it every night, and every time you look in the mirror, that's what you're like, oh, wow, we were so close. But yet that's fuel for them and the motivation,
you got a collective team doing that?
Ooh-wee.
That's strong.
Well, Pop is, back to Pop. He's so good at the details. He watches the body language of the athlete. Yeah. He knows when Tim's starting to get a little bit tired. He'll bring Timmy off, set him on the bench for a while, get the young guns back in there playing. Ginobili, Parker. But again, you're talking about your role players who come in, knock the shots down. I mean, again, they all know their roles. And, hey, even though they're older, that experience is something that you just don't teach. And those guys got a feel for each other. And it's fun to watch, especially as a purist who loves the game. So, you know what? We wish them the best of luck. It's going to be fun moving forward.
I like that team.
Well, let's talk about Thurl Bailey.
It's just going to be short, but let's go.
Well, one thing you're not as short.
Yeah, exactly. Let's educate the viewers, because we talk a lot about perseverance. We talk about work ethic. A lot of these things that, at the professional level we say are cliche. Well, they're cliche because they're true. Share your journey with the viewers, how it was playing in high school, and then, playing for Coach Jimmy Valvano at North Carolina State, winning a national championship there, the things that you took from your guys and what Coach Valvano taught you in those national championship years. And then we'll take a short break after that, and then we'll come back and talk about playing for Coach Layden and then Hall of Famer Coach Jerry Sloan. But please talk a little bit about your high school, how you were, or where you were at with your process of, did you even want to play college ball? I mean, share your journey with us.
And as far as my top two favorite words, one of those is journey, because that's really what it's about.
You bet.
We all have one. You have a journey that you've been on, not just through basketball, but through life. Everybody does. So I look at my journey, and I look where I am now, and I'm in a great place because I've had along the way some great teachers and great leaders in my life, not just in basketball, but growing up in D.C., I didn't start playing basketball until I was about 14 years old. And
so about Brendo's age, about that time.
Yeah. I'm a little younger than Brendo, but Brendan started, he picked up a ball at a very young age. I didn't pick one up until I was a teenager.
Sure.
And so I saw Dr. J play on TV. Sat down next to my dad. I didn't know who he was. And I saw him do something just so incredible. I didn't think human beings could do it.
Yeah.
And he made an incredible move, and it fired something up inside me. You know that feeling you get when experience something or you see something or somebody does something so incredible.
Got to try to emulate it.
Your heart beats a little faster and you're like, man, I wish I could do that. And sometimes you take it a little further and you say, hey, I want to do that. And I think at that age, I really knew what I wanted. When I decided I wanted it, I was going to go to those people who could help me get there.
Yeah.
And the one guy who could help me get started was sitting right next to me, is my dad.
Okay.
So, he went out in the yard, pulled up some weeds, cut the top off a garbage can and nailed it to the house and found an old ball.
There you go.
And brought me out there. And, the first time he brought me out, I remember this distinctly, he brought me out, I didn't have a basketball with him.
Mm-hmm.
He put me in a defensive stance position. He said, son, if you can be in this position, if you can do this consistently in basketball, he says, you're on your way to being a very good player. And he named it. He said, that's preparation.
Nice.
He said, that prepares you for pretty much anything that's about to happen on the court that I'm going to teach you. Shooting, rebounding, defending. And I think I remember him saying, you can't even sit on the bench without bending your knees.
There you go.
So he was telling me, and then he would take that lesson and go off into his own little lessons about preparation and how important that would be in my life.
Nice.
Not just basketball. So my dad was the kind of dad who, when he taught me, he was teaching me other things that he hoped that I would get later. Then I went to junior high school to play organized ball because I wanted to be Dr. J. That was my dream. Okay. Grew my afro out a little bit.
There you go. Okay.
I had a little pick and was picking it out.
Okay. Okay.
And so I would emulate him in the yard whenever nobody was around. I'd have the ball with 1 point down, 5 seconds to go. But I wasn't me though, Coach. Who was I? I was Dr. J.
You was the doc. That's right. Julius.
That's right. And so that really kept me fired up, having that goal. Mm-hmm. And then I remember the day my dad came out in the yard and he took his foot and dragged it across the dirt and drew a free throw line. Mm-hmm. And he said, son, I'm going to teach you how to shoot free throws today. And he said, told me, one of these days you may be shooting a game-winning free throw in front of 20,000 screaming fans. He said that to me years ago.
Vision. He had the vision.
He said, and you're going to have to, he said, and you're going to be in their arena. So you're going to have all that negative noise around you. That you're going to have to focus and block out all that noise.
Nice.
To hit, he called the rim a goal, to hit that goal.
Okay.
And he did that on purpose.
Nice.
Because he was trying to teach me about setting goals and focusing on goals.
Nice. And
blocking out all the negative noise of non-believers. Because he said people will applaud your failure. Think about that. You're on the free throw line in somebody else's arena. They're applauding you. They want you to fail at that moment. And that's kind of how life is. That's how what my dad was trying to teach me. So I got the focus, and he also told me sometimes you're going to miss. He said, but the fact that you prepared yourself and you want to be the one, because a lot of guys don't want to step up on that line. Yeah. So I got cut in 7th grade. I was 7th grade, Coach Gray, Herb Gray. I'll tell you his name because he cut me. Herb Gray.
I hope you're watching it now, Coach, because, hey.
Well, I'll tell you about that too, but I was 6'5". In the 7th grade. I was 6'7" in the 8th grade. Both those years, Coach Gray was the coach, and he cut me twice. The second year he cut me, he told me not to come out for his team my last year because he didn't have time to teach me how to play. He says, I'm looking for guys who can help me win the championship this year. So I wasn't going to go out for the team. I had one more year of junior high school, but something happened. Opportunity happened, like it happens in our lives.
There you go.
Sometimes we can let it go by, or we can take advantage of it.
That's right.
And so a new coach was in there, and I had to talk myself into walking into the gym, trying out. Because after you fail twice, you're questioning yourself.
Sure.
Should I do this? Should I go play the trombone, the tuba, which I was doing anyway.
Okay.
So I thought there was a future in brass instruments.
Okay.
But
and there is Kenny G. He had success with it. I mean, let's give him his credit.
Yeah, that's true. But it was a whole different atmosphere. Coach Cole came in, and he was so positive with everybody. Can't keep all of you, he said. But I think we can put together a good team. So he would look at each player and see what the positives were, the piece of the puzzle that we could use on his team to win. And listen, Coach, I wasn't very good. But he kept me on the team. I made the team. He brought me into his office the next day and sat me down, and he said, congratulations on making the team. If you want to be a great player, you've got a lot of work to do. But I'll come in 1 hour before the team practices to work with you. I'll stay 1 hour after to work with you.
Opportunity.
Yeah, and I was wondering, well, why would this guy who didn't know me that well say this to me? And he said, I see potential in you.
Mm-hmm.
I see potential you don't even see in yourself.
Wow.
So that got me back on that path because I still had the passion for it because of Dr. J. And I averaged 2.5 seconds a game in junior high. I went in for the jump balls.
Okay, yeah.
Got every jump ball. Coach was proud of me. I wasn't very good, so I didn't play that much.
Yeah.
So he used me where he needed me.
Mm-hmm.
But I started to progress when I went to high school. Played a year JV.
Mm-hmm.
My senior year, that's when I started to really blossom as a player because I had coaches that really believed in me and saw that potential. And I got a scholarship to North Carolina State University. Coach Norm Sloan was the head coach at that time.
That's right. Yeah.
He recruited me.
Wearing all the plaid.
That's right.
I'm dating myself now. You see that?
There you are. He recruited me.
No afros on me either. I need more than a pick.
But yeah, he came to my house, recruited me, and I knew the history of NC State and decided to go there. And he left after my freshman year. So I was all distraught with some other guys.
Was Monty Tao there at the time also? Because Monty Tao was an Indiana boy.
Yeah, Monty wasn't. He was an assistant coach that year, and then he left.
Sure.
So they brought in some guy we didn't know who he was. He introduced himself as Coach Valvano. Didn't know anything about him. He starts talking about this dream he had. That he knew he was going to win a national championship. So we're sitting there, okay, yeah, we've heard this before. And so he just started selling it to us, man. And all, we would gradually kind of start sitting up and paying attention to him because he had something about him. We didn't know quite what it was, but he had something about him that you just gravitated to.
Sure.
And he said to us, I'm going to win a national championship. And I don't know if this is the team. So I dreamt about it. I can't see the faces, but I know I'm going to win it soon. That's what he said. And so he said, there won't be a day that goes by that we won't talk about the ultimate goal. Our ultimate goal is to win a national championship. Or we'll beat teams by 20. We'll lose by 20. We won't dwell on it. Because everything we do is going to be for us to win a national championship. And you guys, if you're not here when we do, then I'll make sure that you're going to feel like champions when you leave here. And you're going to go on to do great things.
Yeah.
So, of course, what happened in 1983.
Yes, sir.
We just kind of came out of nowhere. A little luck involved, but we had a group of guys who just believed it.
You bet.
And Coach Valvano did things that were unorthodox to put us in the situation. Listen, we practice cutting the nets down in practice.
You got to do it.
Who does that?
Yeah.
He brings a ladder
That's
to practice.
vision.
He puts it under the hoop, and he calls us over. He says, guys, I know this gym is empty. Thurl, I want you to cut a piece down, and everybody else will cut it down. I'll go up last. You guys will put me on your shoulder. You're going to carry me around this gym and scream and holler.
Preparation.
That was the most awkward thing I'd ever had to do in my life. We did it twice a month.
Okay. But again, that's preparation. You got to be able to see yourself
That's right.
doing it. And I like that.
And the second time was still awkward. Third and fourth, we started to get into it.
Starting to believe in it a little bit.
And when we won that national championship, and then they brought the ladder out, I think simultaneously we kind of looked over at V because we understood.
Here we go.
He said, he was telling us, sometimes you've got to put yourself in an uncomfortable position to understand what you need to do.
Great lesson.
It's not going to come easy to you. So he said, you got to visualize it. You got to, feel like champions, practice like champions, come back from defeat like champions do. And so it was amazing journey with him.
Yeah.
Of course, he passed away 10 years later of cancer. And
that's right.
His legacy is larger than life still.
Unbelievable. Well, I mean, you got the Jimmy V Foundation
That's
still. Right. What a great job, and you took part in it. The ESPN 30 for 30 documentary about that journey and about that quest, and you guys all coming together, sharing your stories. It's fun for any viewer to sit and listen because there's a lot of people like myself. I wasn't a part of an NCAA national championship, but to hear what that meant to you guys, and for you guys, several years later to sit around and still talk about the stories. And now, of course, your 15-foot jumpers turn into 19-foot jumpers, but that's just life. That's part of it.
And to Derek Wittenberg, that last shot wasn't a shot. It was a pass.
Of course. Yeah, he put it up there just perfect for it, right?
Right.
Great stuff. Right. Great stuff. Well, let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back with Big T Thurl Bailey. And again, we're going to talk about the journey and, where he's been, where he's at, and what he's doing, now as a community activist. And we really appreciate you tuning in. We'll be right back with you here in just a moment.
All right, and we're back. Go ahead.
We still got the music going, man. You feel it in your blood?
I love it.
Well, hey, we're back with Thurl Bailey, and we just talked a little bit about, Coach Valvano sharing the vision, sharing the dream, you guys buying into that dream, and now you collectively have conquered your conquest. I mean, you got it done. You won your national championship. What did that feel like to be like, wow? Was it like an overcoming emotion? Was it you guys in just disbelief? How long did it take for that to really sink in that what you just accomplished?
That's a good question, because I think when you look at the whole picture, not just the championship game, because we had 10 losses that year going into the ACC tournament. We would not have made the tournament if we hadn't won the ACC tournament.
Right, you had to win it. Yeah.
We had to win it.
That's right.
And we had to go through Ralph Sampson in Virginia.
Yeah.
We had to go through North Carolina. What's the guy's name that they had? Oh, yeah, Michael Jordan.
He's okay.
Yeah, he was all right.
He did.
But they had Sam Perkins, James Worthy, Brad Doherty. We had to go through them.
Yeah.
So we win the tournament.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of things going on. I mean, Coach Valvano really was one of the first coaches that made you make a free throw. And knowing in that situation, more than any other situation, is going to be a little more pressure on you. So we were fouling guys. I mean, against our first game in the tournament against Pepperdine. Listen, it was
the wave.
We were down 9 points with less than a minute to go.
Right, and they're talking trash on the bench to you guys.
Yeah, no 3-point shot.
Yeah.
No shot clock.
Right.
And so they're thinking it's over. And some things happen. Dane Suttle, 90% career free throw shooter, misses 2 free throws.
Puts him like, Jimmy tells you to foul. Coach Valvano says foul him, and you're probably thinking, what?
Yeah.
Does it, ices him, misses.
Misses.
Yeah.
So we come back and win in double overtime. And so it was kind of the way we went through that journey. But the championship game was obviously the culmination of all that work and all of the speeches and all of the first speech about the dream and introducing himself and about how we need to think about the ultimate. Because a lot of coaches don't, maybe I shouldn't say a lot, but there are a lot of leaders who don't necessarily teach focusing on the ultimate goal.
Right.
It's about the one game and then the next
goal
game
to
and
win,
the next
yeah.
game.
Right.
And those are important, but Coach B was so good in the film room. He put in a tape. He called guys out. Thurl, that rebound cost us. Mm-hmm. These are things we cannot do.
He's accountability. He's holding you guys accountable.
That's right. But when because you hate film, because the film never lies.
That's right. Yeah.
And you better not fall asleep in the film room, right?
Gonna put you on blast in front of your boys.
Right. So when that film was over, he pulled out another VHS tape, and it was all the things we'd done right.
Nice.
So we end on a positive note.
See, I like that.
Thurl, that's the way we need to do it. Mm-hmm. So it was really good because, the man was a great leader. He was teaching life lessons, and we just came together at the right time.
Right.
And our story really, Coach, goes beyond basketball. Mm-hmm. It really does when you look at the whole journey, because we started getting fans who weren't basketball fans. They were writing in. Mm-hmm. We got a letter from a lady whose husband was in a coma at the hospital. He loved basketball. She didn't know much about it, so she's in the room with him. She turns the TV on to our game, not knowing anything about us, hoping that maybe some of that he could hear that.
Mm-hmm. Laying in the bed.
And so she finds out about us. We continue on that journey, and every game she turns on. And she wrote us a letter during our run, talking about her husband and the fact that he was in a coma, and that we gave her a reason to believe, to hope. So our journey,
bigger than basketball. That's right.
It was about hope. It was about people wanting to live that story themselves in their lives. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I think that particular year, unlike a lot of other years, because there's been some big games. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird.
Oh, yeah.
North
right
Carolina.
Up here, right up on the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way that game happened, and just the fact that, we don't know Jimmy V like we know him now, if not for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you think about it, Thurl, what I hear you saying is he did it with passion, and he did it with so much positivity.
Yeah.
And when you've got such young, and I hope the coaches are listening to this, because who takes the time to teach details like that of the bigger picture, where he had the vision and he had to get you guys to buy into that vision.
That's right.
But if he wasn't doing it with positive, and he was nurturing about it, because he didn't just demean you.
To college kids.
Exactly. Yeah. So
you're
on your way.
Kids can be, right?
Hey, come on. Especially now with a lot of players with their egos and the sense of entitlement. It's kind of refreshing to get back to the old school grind, because again, him being positive and him being passionate got you guys to buy in, but then you guys still had to execute the game plan and see out his vision, because now it was more than just basketball.
Yeah. And
so I just wanted to reiterate that.
And that's a great point. The other thing that he was really good at was putting trust and ownership in his leaders on the court. Me and Derek and Sydney as seniors. He wasn't going to be with us all the time.
Matter of fact, wasn't that an SI cover when you guys had to?
It was an SI cover. That's right. So he trusted us. He trusted us to make sure that even off the court, when he couldn't be there, when the coaches weren't there, that we were still preparing ourselves. We were doing the right things. We weren't, giving any school or anybody, weren't making the news in a bad way.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And so, that was just a great, great journey for us. And we tried to get together as a team once a year, because it was special.
That's good stuff. A few weeks ago, Coach Frank Layden was a guest on our show, and he shared the fact, and obviously Coach Valvano taught you a lesson, because he says he can remember after a practice, they had drafted you in. There's some young guys around. You guys were in camp, and Coach Layden was given a message, and some guys were kind of talking in the background, and you stood up and said, "Hey, guys, listen up. Coach Layden's trying to teach us something."
Yeah.
And that's when Coach Layden said he knew we were going to be all right, because he knew you were ready to kind of take over some leadership responsibilities too. But again, that was taught to you at North Carolina State, where you were confident enough to do that at the next level, now being professional.
Yeah.
So here we are. You're in Utah. You've been drafted by Coach Frank Layden. The franchise kind of up and down, not a lot of success.
Yeah. Let's just say down.
Down, okay. Not a lot, okay. Down.
Hadn't made the playoffs.
Not yet, ever. Yeah. So team, changing ownership, playing at the Salt Palace. I mean, share with the viewers what that was like being a part of a franchise now in growth, trying to find stability and trying to find a home. Because I think the success you guys had in, 83, basically kept the Utah Jazz here and got a home with, Larry Miller coming in eventually, buying out. And, of course, there's a story behind that too. But share with the viewers what that was like, having that responsibility thrown on you as a young man coming into a franchise, taking over, obviously having accountability. But share that, because a lot of people don't hear that side of it. But let's take the viewers deeper. What was that like to you as a growing person?
Well, let me start out like this, because I was a rookie that year. And kind of an extension, we talked about what got me into basketball. My rookie season, I felt like, well, first of all, coming out of college, I didn't know whether I was good enough to last in the league. I knew I would be drafted because of won the national championship, and I had a pretty good, I led the team in rebounds and scoring for 3 years. So I knew I'd be up there somewhere. Could I last? I mean, I was 6'11", 199, soaking wet.
Yeah.
So I didn't know whether I could last or not, but the Jazz drafted me, and I was ecstatic. I just wanted. It wasn't one of those things where some players, I don't want to go to that team. I just wanted to be in the NBA. I wanted to earn my keep and stay there as long as I could. It came full circle for me when Coach Layton was coaching the team as a rookie, and the game, it was one of the first 2 games of the season. We played the Philadelphia 76ers in the Salt Palace in Utah. I came off the bench. Coach called me in the game, and I'm standing out there, and a guy taps me on the shoulder, and he says, "Thurl, welcome to the NBA. Congratulations on a great college season." He stuck his hand out, and that's when I shook Dr. J's hand.
The guy you were trying to emulate.
The guy was the guy that got me, that gave me a passion for playing. That's the first pro player I'd ever seen with the fro.
Yeah.
And that's the guy I wanted to be. And now to be standing on the same court.
Wow.
And him shaking my hand. Best moment of my basketball career.
Wow, that's deep.
Because, listen, I scored a lot of points, played with some great players, but shaking that man's hand, who is now my friend, but he did give me 45 that night. He brought me in good. But
can I tell you a story? Back in the day when I was growing up in Indiana, I had my little Nerf hoop up on the back of the door. I was doing my Dr. J's too, slamming into the door. My mom, "This is not a gymnasium." So I heard it too. So if my family's watching, I'm telling the truth.
That's how they did it back then.
That's right. Yeah.
But the years before I came to the Jazz, and Frank, I'm sure, told you a lot about this. He always tells a story about people calling him and asking what time the game is, and he's saying, "What time can you be there?"
Yeah.
Because they weren't getting any fans.
Right.
It was tough. It was tough times. And they had one of my idols, Dr. Duncanstein, Darrell Griffith, on the team.
From Louisville.
And, a guy like that comes from a winning program, and all of a sudden, you're not winning. You're not playing in front of fans. So it was tough. But I came in, and I realized there was a lot of responsibility there. First round 7 pick of the draft. They were serious. So I had to get a different mentality and step up as a potential leader right away.
Where did that come from? What was that awe moment where you're like, okay, now's the time?
Well, I'm not sure it was an awe moment. I think it was always a part of me.
Okay.
At every level, leaders kind of float to the top. You don't have to be a vocal leader all the time.
Right.
Your
Just
leaders
lead by example.
You lead by example. You're the peacemaker. You're the guy who, when things are divided, you bring guys together. I always felt like I was that kind of person. First of all, that's how I was raised, and that kind of translated into basketball with great leaders. But a lot of it too was kind of sitting back and watching other guys. Because I wasn't about to come in as a rookie and think that, oh, this is my team. It wasn't my team. I knew I was going to be an important part of it because of the fact that they drafted me high, and I had to prove myself though. Because a lot of rookies have come in and stunk it up and didn't last very long. So I had to figure out what my role was, and I remember Frank Layton coming to me after he had gone to a couple other guys because he was looking for a 6th man, somebody who would come off the bench.
Yeah, be an
and
energy
the
guy.
mentality.
Yeah.
Guys in the NBA want to start.
Yeah.
And so a great leader like Frank Layden, he'll tell you it's not about starting, it's who finishes. He said, you're going to get starter minutes because we need you in the game. We need you in the crucial times of the game, but we've got to have some spark off the bench. Put my hand up, Coach, I'm your guy. So it was about accepting a role when I came in.
There you go.
And I had some great
Which is
teammates.
a great lesson for the young players because, again, coming in, you're usually the big fish in a small pond, and now usually they have an ego or a lot of agents, and their support systems are telling them how great they are, but are they humble enough to accept and grow and be a part of that process to get to where they need to be?
And your role may change from high school to college, from college to the pros.
That's right.
And so, you know, a lot of guys can't accept that because everybody wants to score.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants to be the defender or the rebounder.
Right.
So I accepted that role, and you know, they sat me down and said, we want you to take, you know, be one of the leaders on this team. Even though you are a rookie, we have high expectations for you. And one of the quotes that Frank always says is, the Jazz drafted me not just as a player, but as the person. And I thought that was a huge compliment to my parents, first of all.
There's no greater words to receive from your coach or from your organization to be that guy, to have the sustenance about you with your character and your credibility to take on that leadership role, whether it is vocal or whether it is by example. But to accept that, I mean, that's the highest praise that you can get.
So all the stories about how bad the Jazz were before I got there, I didn't really know any of those. The guys were telling me how rough it was. And so we were going into this season that when I came in as a rookie, I knew nothing but winning. I just come off a national championship.
Right.
So that was my mindset.
Like a culture.
That's right.
It's a culture. Yeah.
So, you know, here's a team with Adrian Dantley and Ricky Green and Darryl Griffith and, you know, guys who were not used to losing, but they were tired of losing. So that year, we actually won the division and went to the playoffs for the first time in franchise history.
Do you think your personality and your character helped cultivate that culture to get the guys to understand? Because everybody wants to win, but sometimes you have to learn how to win. Was it more leadership by example, or was it everybody understanding the roles and accepting their roles, or was it the fun that Frank made out of it, or was it just everything combined, all in the stew that they were stirring up?
I think it was combined because I had my role to play. I mean, I wasn't going as a rookie. It really wasn't my place to be the designated leader. You know, the guys who had been there before me.
Sure.
I had to learn from them first.
Yeah.
You know, I had to go through all my little rookie stuff, carry the balls, the bags. I wasn't too big for that.
Yeah. Now the guys are getting pink backpacks with you know, Dora.
Some of them won't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm making more than you. I'm not carrying your bag.
Wow.
So, you know.
Red flag. Sorry. Red flag. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So, you know, I think it was a culmination of Frank's personality because Frank was about having fun. He was about winning, but he was about
he did it in a fun
not
way.
taking it too serious.
Yeah.
You know, because you've got so many games. You know, even if you win, you've got a game the next night.
Yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, that's right.
So
it was a fun year to make the playoffs. My first year, and every year I played with the Jazz after that.
Right.
So it was just a great journey, and Frank was just a great leader. And then after his second or third year, he hired an assistant coach, Jerry Sloan.
From Chicago. Is it Chicago? Yeah.
And so you could tell, even when Jerry was an assistant, I mean, you knew who Jerry was. He was a legend. A legend on the bench as an assistant coach.
Hard-nosed, tough guy, hard defender, gritty.
And so that's where that identity, that tough identity came from.
So Frank, being smart, knew that the team lacked in a certain area, brings in a guy which covered his weakness.
That's right. That's exactly right.
There you go.
Exactly right. So just, you know, that season, we just celebrated an anniversary of that team that won, that made the playoffs for the first time. And some of the guys came back. Griff came back.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Rich Kelly, Mark Eaton. So it was fun.
Well, let's take another quick break, and we're going to get into you playing for the Hall of Fame coach, Jerry Sloan.
Okay.
Right after this message. It's coming.
It is coming. Sleep
Good
at the
stuff.
wheel. Okay, we're back.
Well, we've now talked about playing for Coach Frank Layden, who drafted you. And, you know, Coach even shared the story with us while he was here a couple weeks ago, I think, wasn't it, Bob? A couple weeks. He talked about, you know, Coach Valvano said that you were going to be a better pro player than what you were a college player. And he saw that in you. So he was still pushing and promoting you before you ever set foot on Utah soil. And Coach Layden, of course, he does make things fun-loving, but he was also pretty brilliant into putting people in a position to be successful. Yeah. Let Duncan Stein go out and create an open floor. Get Ricky Green from the CBA, who he watched and thought, okay, we can use him to fit this philosophy and style. Let Mark Eaton be the big guy back there cleaning up shots. So again, it's all a matter of progression to get the franchise where it is today. You've played for Coach Frank Layden. Like you said, you just talked about Coach Jerry Sloan, who I was blessed and fortunate enough to get to observe with for a couple years while I was between jobs in China. And I can't thank him enough for allowing me to come in every day and watch, because he's not going to let the tail wag the dog.
That's right.
You're going to work, and he doesn't care if you're the 15th man or the first man, you're coming to work. Yeah. Your socks are going to be pulled up, your jersey going to be tucked in.
That's right.
It's old school. It's that old Midwest growing up on the farm, hard work mentality, but it permeates success. Talk about what it's like playing for Coach, Hall of Fame coach, Jerry Sloan. What did you learn from him? Because you've been able to take something. You talked about what you've learned from your father, which resonates in you today because you are now a father, and I'm sure you're passing that, you know, legacy on to your kids, which obviously is working because they're having success. You learn from Coach Valvano about visions and the passion and you know, accountability. You get Frank Layden, who makes it more fun because, you know, it's just he takes some of the pressure off of you because the franchise where it's at. Now you're with Coach, Hall of Fame coach, Jerry Sloan. He was here for 23 years, and he's here for a reason. One of the best in the business to ever do it. I loved observing for him. It reiterated a lot of things to me that I enjoyed, but I learned so much. Just every little day, how he would talk with the press, or, you know, he just always consistent, not too high, not too low, but yet he stayed firm to his principles. What types of things did you learn from Coach Sloan, and where did it take the franchise, your career? Because you were just getting ready to speak on it. So, go ahead.
Well, in hindsight, I know if you talk to Coach Sloan, he never would have imagined his career would have gone the way it went. And the first thing he would tell you is that he was smart enough to know he didn't know everything. So he surrounded himself with people, kind of like Frank did with him.
Sure.
Surrounded himself with people that could paint that picture together, along with players. Coach Sloan was an extension of some great leaders in my life. My dad, my mom. You talk about tucking your shirt in, respecting the game. My parents taught me that. And Coach Sloan reiterated it in basketball.
There you go.
You know, it was about respect. It was about the fact that you've made it to this level, and don't think you're ever bigger than the game. Don't think that you're a one-man show. And he taught in a very simple way. You know, he's raised on a farm, loves riding tractors.
John Deere, baby.
And that's how he spoke.
Yeah,
it was plain and simple. He was the real deal.
Right.
And when it was time for business, which meant the business of basketball, practice and games, you better be ready. he was a player now.
Mm-hmm.
He was also a player, so he knew some of the trappings that came outside of the court, and he understood that everybody was a man. And he there's certain rules you got to follow, but he knew as men that everybody wouldn't follow those rules. But he told you that I'm not going to try to run your life for you, but when it's time to play, you better be ready. You better be ready to go to work.
Yeah.
And you knew he was serious because he was that way as a player. He was the only jersey hanging up in Chicago's arena for a long time, which meant that he was a hell of a player.
Yeah.
And he was well respected.
Again, the guy who would do the dirty work,
Yeah.
all the things that people don't want to do and you don't get your name in the paper
That's
for
right.
back then, which of course now it's Twitter and,
Yeah.
whatever social devices we
Yeah.
have. But how can you not respect and follow the lead of someone who's been there, done that,
That's
and
right.
now he's trying to extend that to you guys.
Yeah.
So, wow, what a great example.
So he was, when you go out and you hire not just a good friend, but a guy who was a coach of the year in Phil Johnson in Sacramento, and you get him to buy in, and Phil Johnson becomes kind of the offensive architect,
Kind of Tex Winter to
Yeah.
Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
The same type of relationship,
Yeah.
23 years
Yeah.
together. So,
And then you go out and get Gordy Chiesa, who came from a Rick Pitino program and was very defensive-minded. And you surround yourself with those kind of people. Scotty Layton, who was young then, but he knew the game.
he was around his dad all the time.
That's right. He could really, because of his age, he could really associate with the players, maybe in a different sense than the coaches could. So that whole package. But Jerry was just hard-nosed. Those were the days when, because my second year in the league, the NBA draft, the fans booed when they picked a kid named John Stockton.
Yeah.
They didn't know who Gonzaga. Where's that?
Yeah.
But
Of course,
the
people
Ja-
know now, but not then.
Yeah,
Not then.
But the Jazz have always kind of been that kind of organization. They can see the different things. They can see guys who can fit in the scheme of things, and they're not right all the time, but in most cases they are. They saw something in this young kid, and John came in the first year and just kind of learned from Ricky Green, and you can just start to see the progression. In the next year, they picked this kid who was passed up by 12 teams, Karl Malone. And so, Karl has something to prove now because he was looked over.
Chip on his shoulder, that's right. And
you have just developed one of the greatest tandems that ever played the game.
You bet.
And so, just to watch that come together and watch Coach Sloan kind of take all of that, all those pieces, and put his own stamp on it. Grateful to Frank, but now the reins have been handed over to you.
Yeah, and matter of fact, not at the beginning of the season at camp, in December.
That's right.
He took over,
That's right.
December 9th or something, but
That's right.
he takes over in the middle, which even harder. So now you've got to, get the guys to buy in quicker and put your stamp on it and use your identity, get your philosophy going,
Yeah.
put the players in a position to be successful, know what John Stockton does well, the pick and rolls,
That's
the UCLA high post cuts.
Yeah.
But again, everybody knew what you was going to do, but they couldn't stop it
stop it.
because you had your little counters with it.
Exactly.
But go, I'll let you speak on it.
Well, it was that. In the simplicity of it, Coach Sloan was like that. We don't need to get fancy. Look what we've got. We've got a 7'5" guy who, you're going to get beat guards at some point. Now you got a guy who's going to help you.
That's right.
With that.
And you can be confident that if you give up a step, he's got your back at the rim.
But you better not get beat.
That's right. It's your job to stop it first.
That's
It's
right.
your job first.
But if you do, we got the big guy.
Plan B, yeah.
So it was just something that you could just marvel at as a player, to see all these things come together and see them start to work consistently night after night with teams who on paper were more talented. But you look at what we had, and teams hated to play us because they were in for a fight.
Yeah.
They didn't want to get a screen set by John Stockton.
Oh, he gonna come up in there and get up under your ribs and hit.
Yeah.
Especially after that UCLA post, and then comes back up, says that screen for
Yeah,
Carl.
that's
Those
right.
guys didn't
And
want to take that hit.
Coming.
Oh yeah.
Charles Barkley knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And so that's where historically, when you talk about physical, tough Jazz teams, that started with Jerry.
Yeah. Teams didn't want to play against you because they knew it was going to be
Yeah.
a rough battle.
That's right.
You know, for 48 minutes, you're going to get hit.
That's right.
You know, you're going to get a hard screen set on you. They're going to go. You know, if they come to the lane, they're going to be a body on them. Someone's going to bump a cutter. Someone's going to knock them off path and get them to not be comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we're talking about a lot of tangibles because seeing the game from this perspective, but all those things we're talking about right now are why you can be successful because you're not letting people catch the ball where they're comfortable to catch it because of the scouting reports, watching on video, putting a body on somebody. Again, idiosyncrasies and tangibles, but they're details that when you take the time to teach and you guys take pride in it and know your jobs and roles, it just permeates that success.
Because when you look at the roster of the other team, you're like, wow, man, they're pretty loaded.
Yeah. How are we going to get these guys?
Yeah. And so we knew the personnel, you know, we knew, and we couldn't stop it all the time. I knew when I played against Boston and Larry Bird, I couldn't stop him, but I could make him work harder to get his points. I could make it a little difficult on him. I could talk to my teammate and say, Mark, listen, I'm going to force him this way, and if you help, I got yours covered. So it was really at that time about communication and talking about the game. Listen,
great point.
We were on
great
buses.
Nugget.
We were on planes. We didn't have headphones on.
Right,
Music and we were talking.
That's right.
We were talking about our families. We were talking about the game. We were talking about the next night. You know, John Drew would ask me, Thurl, how would you guard Bird? I mean, what would you do? We were talking about the guys we were going to be guarding that night. You know, and some nights, listen, they were that good.
Sure.
They would be the better team.
Right.
But they would know that we were there.
That's right.
They were in for a fight, and that's how that reputation of toughness developed for the Utah Jazz.
Man, that's just there. As I'm sitting here as a coach and hearing you say these things, I'm thinking of all the nuggets that come to my mind as teaching points. And again, as we try to empower coaches and we empower players to listen to the details that we're talking about, and they're details, but yet they're details that when you take pride in them and you have ownership in those details, and you go out and execute those things night in, night out, that's how Coach Sloan has more than 1,200 victories in 23 years and being one of the best in the business because he made you guys have accountability in those details and take pride in it as a team collectively.
And, you know, and Coach Sloan would say this too. A lot of that, too, was being forum for some of that conversation. So that's when I started the radio show called Inside the Arena with Thurl Bailey.
Mm-hmm. And we have a link to that too for our viewers.
Thank you.
So we'll make sure we have that up on graphics. How they can follow you and support that mission you've got.
And it's not about sports. It's really about great subject matter. You talked about legacy. I sat down with Kwaku Mandela, Nelson Mandela's grandson, for our first show. And that was amazing. It was not too long after Nelson Mandela passed away.
Right.
So we're talking about legacy, and he's talking about his grandfather's legacy and how he didn't know his grandfather for 27 years because he was in prison.
That's right.
I mean, how you come out of that situation and think that things are going to be normal. So he talked about how Nelson Mandela would come to all of his grandkids' schools. He'd just show up, and he'd find out exactly what they were doing in their lives. And he talked about his legacy, but the bottom line was that he wants to carry that legacy on, but he can't live off of his grandfather's legacy. He's got to make his own.
Yeah.
So I walked into a mall close by here with a microphone, and I just stopped people and I asked them what legacy meant to them. And Coach, I had grown men crying in the middle of a mall.
Wow.
That
is powerful.
Talking about the legacy they wanted to leave for their kids. The legacy that their dad didn't leave to them. And now from that experience, they're trying to learn how to be a better father.
Awesome.
So that's kind of what the show's about. We interviewed, had a great interview with John Stockton, not about sports necessarily, but about victories big and small in his life. Talked to Anthony Robles, the one-legged NCAA champion.
Yeah.
National champion in wrestling. One leg.
What an inspiration.
Didn't have a dad growing up. His mom was his dad and mom. We talked about protecting our kids, our family, and who best to tell that story than Ed Smart.
Right.
Whose daughter was kidnapped.
Right.
And fortunately returned. There are many kids who never return.
That's right.
So that we kind of, and we have some fun. We talk about music. We have a good time with, different subject matter. One of the shows, matter of fact, I would love to get you on my show and talk about youth sports.
You bet.
Not from a kid's perspective, but from a parent's perspective. Because you've seen the best and the worst of it.
Yes, sir.
And so,
yes, sir.
Sometimes we as parents need to figure out how we need to present ourselves. We're talking about raising our kids. Why you want to go out and fight the ref or the coach?
Yeah.
Why you throwing the F-bomb?
Again, leading by example.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of the way we're headed. People getting killed because, coach didn't play their son or the referee made a bad call.
Yeah.
That's
right.
And so I want to talk about those things with parents and people who've been around it. But it's been a really good show for me because I get to talk about a lot of the things that matter other than sports.
You bet.
So
you bet. And I want to echo that because the whole mission with Bob and I putting the show on here at Brave Haven Studios is, again, we're trying to empower and we're trying to educate, and for us to have this vehicle to put a message out to help people empower and to educate and grow as men and women and leaders and future leaders, which our society needs future leaders, and it's from that youth is where that's got to come from. So all these young players who are out there now listening, and we're blessed to have you, to be a part of this show and to learn from your journey and your experiences, and for you to share that with us is only making us better, and it's bringing a quality product. But you have a brand and you have a story, and you share it so classy and elegantly, and we're blessed to have you. I'm blessed to call you a friend. Our families know each other, and I feel like I'm a better person being around you, learning from you, growing from you, because we all do. We all grow daily, and it's how we can apply what we grow and how we grow, and help others on their journey and their path. And
well, I told you the same thing, but I'm not sure you quite understand that I'm one of your biggest fans.
I appreciate that.
And I know I've told you that, but there's some things that, I'm just a dad like you are.
Yeah.
I've got a son who, I don't care what I've done, sometimes he's got to hear it from somebody else.
Yeah. Right. I hear you.
I don't know any other platform or mechanism than sports that you can teach so many things from.
Yeah.
You know, and you're doing it the right way, and
I appreciate that.
It's you know, it's just refreshing to see, because one, I know you, I know what you're about, and when I watch you from a distance, because I'm one of those parents that, you know, I get it, I understand that you're teaching basketball, but I understand you're teaching something else so much more important than my son at that moment.
Yeah.
Than hitting his jump shot.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you. Don't get me all choked up on TV.
No, I know. Right? I appreciate that. It means a lot to me that, you know, that you see that, and I've appreciated the opportunities that you allowed me the last couple of years to come back when I was between my coaching jobs professionally, and I got to work with the youth, and it energizes you because you see that youthful innocence in the kids, and they want to be better, they have their fragile confidence, and that's where I do get frustrated, and I'm just going to call it out there. I mean, it's our show, so why not? These coaches that are yelling and screaming and are looking for the endorsement deals, or trying to get a job, but they're exploiting the kids to get the job.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's not right. You know, it's about the kids. We should be empowering the kids. We should be teaching the kids, and we should be helping them along their journeys, because, you know, when you take the emphasis off of ourselves, it truly is about them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I appreciate the opportunities because I was able to coach my son the last couple of years, and to see where he's at now, you know, within his growth and maturation. It's refreshing because, like you said, the championships don't matter, the wins, the losses. It's about seeing a little light or a spark go off in your sons or your children, where they get it and they understand it. And then when you hear them echo things that you shared with them as they're talking to somebody else, you can kind of sit back, and it does make you tear up because you're like, he gets it.
Right.
He gets it. Yeah, it's sinking in.
That's right.
So what a powerful tool it was the last couple of years to work with, you know, TJ Haas, Zach Frampton, you know, Matt Conway. I mean, those guys were playing in the state finals. You know, they're going off playing at the BYUs. They're playing, you know, at these great schools. And you hope that maybe you've said something that sunk in, or you've taught them something, a part of work ethic or character. Or it's what it's all about.
It's rewarding, isn't it?
There's no better feeling, and it's so gratifying. And thank you for allowing me that opportunity. But I'm blessed to call you a friend. You know, I feel fortunate that Bob has given us the opportunity to be able to use this to educate our viewers, and what a fun thing this is. And I really appreciate you. God bless you. I know nothing but great things are going to happen for you. And, you know, hopefully the good Lord has a plan for us. And
He does.
Hopefully soon, you know, we'll be on an NBA sideline one day where we'll get to work with older people. And I love that. And I hope that happens for us. But if not, why not use this to help people become better? And that's really what this show is all about.
Any team that is fortunate enough to have you with them on the sideline is, I can tell you right now, you're an invaluable piece.
Well, thanks.
You know, because there aren't a ton of great teachers. Now, there are a lot of great basketball coaches, but and I'm not just saying this because I'm sitting here on your show, because I know you very well. You know me very well. We just tell it like it is.
You got to.
So.
Well, that's what friends do sometimes. Sometimes we need someone to keep us grounded, humble, but yet say, hey, you know what, Coach?
Listen, I'm married to
something.
one. I know how it is.
There you go.
I know how it is to be grounded and humble.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. But, sometimes, you know, we need to have each other for support. But yet, you know what? If you saw me do something that you didn't think was right, you'd probably come to me and say, hey, Coach, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
You know, you never take away a man's dignity, but you'd be like, hey, think of it through these eyes. And it's been fun growing with you as we've worked with you the last few years, because watching kids win the state championships, watching kids go on to colleges, watching kids that you've worked with since they were so young that are now, you know, through junior high, getting into their high school. How fun is it to sit back from afar in the stands as a dad and be like, wow, all these things that we're doing in the summer and the opportunities we're providing, it's working, and you can see the process.
Yeah, keep it up, Coach.
Well, you know we will, buddy.
All right, bud.
God bless you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to have John Madsen coming on here, and he's going to talk about how to get your body right. If you would have had John earlier in your career when you was 190,
I could have played 20 years instead of 16.
He would have got you right. He would have got you right.
He wasn't even born, dude.
All right. We're going to have John Madsen come on the show with us next, so we'll be with you here in just a few minutes. Thurl, thank you again, buddy.
Well,
God bless.
Thanks, Coach.
Got it. Well, good stuff.
So how old are you?
30.
Are you 30?
All right, Coach, we're going to go back to live here in just one sec.
All right.
And you're live.
All right, welcome back to the Coach Scott Field Show right here at Brave Haven Studios here in beautiful Salt Lake City. Lucky to have John Madsen join our show. And John, you've had some growth here lately. Congratulations, newlywed,
yes,
married.
Yes, very excited to be here.
How could you not be excited about all the fun things going on with you personally, but also professionally? But a news anchor here locally, great gal. I've met her a few times, so want to wish you guys the best as you move forward. But you guys found each other, and I think it's nothing but beauty. So
thank you.
Congratulations
really
to both
that.
of you.
Yeah, very exciting times.
Oh, it is. What you was in California for your?
California for the wedding. Her family's from there, so it's kind of funny because it was the same location I lived at when I played for Oakland.
Okay.
And so it feels like my second home out there.
Yeah.
Great place to have a wedding. Came back, honeymoon.
Down in Florida, was it? Or?
Yeah, down in Florida.
Okay.
And now the business is rocking, so
nice.
A lot of good things.
That's what we're going to talk about. What you do, how you do it, the results that you get when these athletes, doesn't matter what level, doesn't matter what gender, doesn't matter what age, you are teaching not only what they should do, but you're also teaching life skills. Mm-hmm. And with that change of the life skills, teaching them how to take care of themselves, how to eat properly, how to condition properly. I mean, I'm going to let you talk about the results. I'm just thrilled to have you on the show because I'm going to be honest with you. my son plays high school basketball here in the Valley, and he's done a good job. And I'm actually going to get him with you here in the near future because we got to get some work on with him. But I have seen firsthand the visual results that some of your young athletes are gaining from you and your tutelage and your knowledge and your experience and yet your expertise. They're getting bigger. They're obviously on a nutrition plan that we'll go into. They're obviously hitting the weights religiously as they should to get themselves where they need to be. And you can tell that you take care of yourself too. So
thank you,
Bob. When I'm done with the show, I need to get up there and pound some iron with him because Coach looking a little feeble here today. But anyway, let's talk about you and your journey. I mean, you grew up here in the Valley. You went to Hunter High School. From Hunter High School, did you want to play college football? Was what was driving you? Was that your motivation, or what was it? You know, at 17, 18 years old, what were your aspirations?
Yeah, it's funny. Growing up, sports was my life. You know, from the time I was 5 years old, or couldn't even remember, some of my best memories was playing sports. My dad always coached me growing up. My mom was heavily into sports, so kind of everything.
Was she an athlete herself?
She was an athlete. Yeah, okay. I mean, she coached me in tennis.
Oh wow!
Played tennis with a little league team, and
good deal.
Had a lot of success with that. But all the memories that I have, a lot of them, you know, revolved around being at the ballpark or you know, being at the football field. Yeah. So that was something that I always wanted to do, and. It's funny because in high school I actually quit playing football altogether.
Wow! At Hunter?
At Hunter, I didn't play one down of high school football.
Wow!
And but going back a little bit further, I remember as a 7th grader, actually doing a career fair, you know, with Hunter Junior High.
Okay.
In which for a whole week we went to the computer lab.
Wow!
And we had to answer questions about what we would like to do for our career.
Okay.
And it took a long time, real old school computers.
Yeah.
And after a week's time, it printed out, you know, the top 5 choices that we should really consider getting into. They were just trying to get our young minds.
Now, did you do that through the guidance counselor's office?
It was one of our classes, and we did it, and then we were asked to choose the top 2, and we were kind of not getting pushed in that direction, but it was good to get our minds thinking about our interests.
Yeah.
And I just remember getting my report back, and I was very disappointed because professional athlete was nowhere to be found.
Okay.
And so we were supposed to write down the top 2, and I actually wrote down professional athlete number 1, professional athlete number 2.
Okay.
In my mind, in 7th grade, that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was a 4.0 student, was never in trouble.
Yeah.
But I also remember in my English class getting called down to the counselor's office, and in the counselor's office, he I'll never forget, he was a huge Broncos fan.
Okay.
Had Broncos posters all over the wall and pennants and stuff like that. So he sat me down and tried to tell me the statistics of how many kids make it to the pros, how many kids make it to college. And, you know, he was doing his job. He was just trying to set me up.
Being realistic.
Being realistic and try to tell me, you know, it's okay to have a backup plan. And I was real stubborn. And I still made him let me write down professional athlete as number 1, and then we came to an agreement that I would write down pretty much whatever he wanted for number 2.
Well, I just want to say this. You're married now, so she's going to remind you how stubborn and hard-headed you are.
Oh, yeah.
Just know that. It's coming. You're about to get those reminders again.
Yeah, I need them. I need them from time to time.
I couldn't do it now if I didn't have the support from my lovely wife, so if you're watching out there, I love you.
Excellent.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyways, that's just a cool story because that was my dream. And so moving forward, at Hunter High School, I didn't even play football in high school. I played basketball and baseball.
Okay.
The reason being is because I grew really tall and didn't gain any weight. So I was this tall, thin, weak kid. And I remember going in the weight room and being weaker than all my friends. And the lack of strength made me think that I wasn't going to be a football player, that I should focus on basketball.
But that's interesting, though, because if you think about it, think about the stigma of a lot of kids that may have aspirations who are physically weak, but you just got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Get in the gym, because they don't know how many reps you've done when you're in there on the bench.
Exactly.
The only person that's really psyched out is themselves. So to get them to start somewhere is a huge step. But I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to say that there's a lot of people that have that stigma because kind of ego and narcissistic, at being athletes.
Yeah.
You know what? You got to start somewhere.
Everybody starts somewhere.
Right.
Exactly. And so during that Hunter High period, my junior year, I started varsity in basketball. I was 6'4", 170 pounds, and I remember, that first varsity experience, kind of getting thrown around and tossed around. The game was really fast for me. So I wanted to get strong. I really wanted to get strong, and I don't know if it was necessarily for sports or because I just didn't want to look that skinny anymore. So my parents got me with a trainer, and I worked out with them 4 days a week. And my parents are very hardworking. They spent a lot of money on that training, and I was there every single day. So for about a 6-month period, I worked out with this trainer who basically changed my life.
Nice.
I fell in love with strength training. I went from 170 pounds to about 190 pounds, which was huge for me.
A transformation, physically, spiritually, mentally, to get ready.
All of that. And I remember as a junior being able to dunk a basketball barely, and then as a senior being able to pretty much hit my elbow on the rim.
Nice.
I could 360 dunk. I was all over the court, jumping, leaping. My athleticism had completely transformed. But more than that, my mentality completely transformed.
The confidence that you gained.
I felt strong. I felt like I could battle on the court, and I felt like a completely different person. So,
think about at that age, John. That's amazing, because if you can instill that confidence through them being physically prepared. There's medicinal reasons. There's less injuries, and you're prolonging your career by the flexibility and everything. But just the mental aspect of it, because you feel better, you feel more confident, you're ready to take a hit. You can be physical. I mean, so I just wanted to expand on that.
The confidence is where you're going to see the most improvement.
Right.
I was a good athlete as a junior, but I didn't necessarily believe it. And that strength physically carries over into the mental side of it too.
Oh, doesn't it though?
So I really love basketball. And my senior year, we switched coaches. We were a young team, and we won 1 game and lost 19. So
that's tough.
I wanted to play college ball, and no tournament games. I didn't know how to get recruited. I was under the impression that if I was good enough, someone would find me at Hunter High School. And I doing what I do now, I know that's not necessarily true.
Right.
There's a lot of proactive approaches you can take to get yourself recruited. And but back then, I was oldest child. We didn't really know how any of that worked.
So the whole process again.
So I was waiting for that scholarship. It never came. And my only opportunity was an academic scholarship to Snow College. I had good enough grades, and my ACT was good enough that my tuition was paid for regardless of sport. So
right. Good for you. I mean, again, a good lesson. Have that fall back, get those grades, because, again, you get the academic portion covered. So.
Without that, I would have never had the chance.
There you go. Good.
So I went up with
academics first, student athlete.
No question. So I took that highlight of my basketball career, and on the visit, I went to talk to the Snow College basketball coach. And in talking to him, he was... he pretty much said that his roster was full. He never saw me. He didn't know enough about me. He invited me to try out, but he also warned me that there was maybe 1 spot open. And there was going to be 100 kids trying out. Which was fine. I was still going for it.
There you go.
I remember being disappointed and telling my dad right after that I wanted to talk to the football coaches. And it took him by surprise, because although I played from 8 years old all the way to high school, not skipping 3 years of football is pretty hard to go and play college ball. So he's like, yeah, let's do it. My parents always told me that I could do whatever I wanted.
Nice.
So
nice to have that support system.
They had confidence in me. So I took that basketball film, talked to the football coaches, and said, I remember my exact words was, I think I can play wide receiver. I'm very athletic. You can see this film. It shows me dunking a basketball 360, and some pretty nice highlights on that.
So he had to sit there and go like, ooh, okay, so he's got some tools.
Yeah,
we got some tools here.
They saw athleticism, and I told them, I was like, I don't expect anything other than a fair shot, and if I'm not good enough, then you can cut me. You don't owe me anything. And right from the start, I remember them putting me in the dorms with the rest of the football guys. So it felt like instantly that they were on board. They were going to give me a shot.
It's going to start grooming you to get that way. Yeah.
And back then, I don't know. I think Snow College. I pretty much think that most of the guys that went out for the tryouts made the team unless they quit.
Okay.
So I don't remember them cutting a lot of guys.
Yeah.
But I remember still being fearful that, that first week or two was a wake-up call.
So you're going from Hunter High School on the west side, West End, going up
from Utah.
Yeah, so then going up to Snow, where now you're up basically on a turkey farm.
That's right. Smelled like turkey every day.
So now you go from the west side to being in a turkey farm, chasing a dream, getting ready to play some football.
That's right.
Elaborate.
Yeah, so that training camp was a wake-up call. I didn't know how to run a route. I had zero knowledge of how to read a defense. All my prior knowledge was from Little League coaches and me running around and just being athletic.
Yeah.
And
you could get by on it then.
Yeah.
Now it's down to technique.
I remember just running down the field and jumping up and making athletic plays. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, getting my butt kicked on a lot of other stuff. But there was enough good to where the coaches actually sat me down after 2 weeks and told me that I wasn't to play basketball anymore, that if I concentrated on football, there was no telling how far I could take it.
Wow.
There was the first mention of NFL. They had said that they didn't see talent.
And so now you're thinking, wow, really?
Yeah, exactly.
So to have someone believe in you is like, whew, little gas to the fire.
Yeah, and I had a lot to learn. I redshirted that first year. I had to learn. So I burned a redshirt year into junior college, which isn't ideal if you want to go to a Division I someday.
Yeah.
So I burned that redshirt year and really worked at my game. I remember staying after every day. The trainer that I had back home, I had instilled in me hard work. I was in the weight room every single day trying to get bigger and stronger. I fell in love with it. So that wasn't really work to me. That was what I wanted to do anyways. So redshirt year, then the next year I was a redshirt freshman. Played half the time. They still had older guys, and they were counting on me big time for my sophomore year. I thought that I should have been playing that whole year, so I was a little bit upset with the coaches, but looking back, they were right on. I still had a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I had this unwavering confidence that I could do it.
There you go.
Stanford, I had talked to them on the phone for a couple times. They wanted to see
that had to make you feel good.
Yeah, they wanted to see how my
never played in high school to now being on the turkey farm at Snow.
Yeah,
persevering, believing in yourself, continue to work with an unbelievable work ethic. Now you're talking to Stanford.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. And I didn't even. It's funny because I didn't realize how big of a deal Stanford was.
Yeah.
I grew up going to I don't think it was called Rice Eccles. It might have been just called Rice Stadium.
Yeah.
But I was a Utah fan.
Yeah.
And Urban Meyer had just came to Utah.
Had this success,
yeah. So I remember right after that redshirt freshman year, driving home and just walking into the Utah offices and asked to speak to Urban.
Good stuff.
And I was a qualifier out of high school, so I didn't have to wait for an associate's degree or anything.
Yeah.
And he kind of asked my story and was in disbelief like most people are. I tell him that I didn't play high school football. And I had a highlight film of probably 15 catches at Snow College, and the rest I had some pretty nice blocks. And then basketball stuff on the highlight film still.
So again, just athleticism.
Yeah, and that's what, I walked in there with that. And he talked to the coaches, tried to find out my story, and then he asked me to walk on the team.
Wow.
And I passed up, I kind of passed up that sophomore year at Snow College with the chance to get, full ride scholarships from a lot of other places. I have a box of letters, handwritten letters. I was talking to multiple schools on the phone. But I up and left for Utah.
Right.
Urban had that kind of persuasive, mentality. Sure. And I from talking to him, I wanted to play for him.
Yeah.
So he got me at Utah, my dream school, and we kind of took the career from there.
How about that? Bob, let's take another break, and we're going to let John Madsen now tell his story playing for Coach Urban Meyer here at the University of Utah to bigger and better things and to even what he's doing now. So we'll come back after a break here in just a moment. Good job, man. That's good. Good. We are back with the Coach Scott Field Show, sitting here with John Madsen tonight, and again talking about stories and sharing the journeys and the process, talking about self-confidence and unwavering perseverance, having your eye on a goal and wanting to achieve that goal with nice support systems from your family. Now, you've just talked about talking and basically promoting and selling yourself to Coach Urban Meyer, who has gone on to do great things, national championships, doing a great job at the Ohio State University after the success he has here on the Hill. So now tell us more about your journey, your story. How did it go with you with that walk-on year being under Coach Urban Meyer and being in his program up on the Hill?
Yeah, I mean, I owe a lot of my success for not only football, but for the rest of my life to Coach Meyer.
Wow.
He's one of those guys who had a tremendous impact on me. Because that first year, all I ever wanted to do was get to that Division I program. I wanted to prove everybody wrong and show them that I could do it.
Nice.
And then once I got there, I didn't have any mentors. I didn't know the first thing about being a Division I athlete and football player.
Was there any upperclassmen in the program that kind of took you under their wing a little bit once they saw your passion, or was it mainly, it was all self-motivation and just perseverance? Who kind of took you under their wing once you got into the program and Coach Meyer gave you that opportunity?
Yeah, it was a really tight group. That's why we had so much success.
Family.
There was so many guys on that team.
Is there one person that kind of sticks out in your mind that maybe had an impact on you, or maybe said something that gave you a little more fuel for yourself? Because let's be honest, for the viewers out there who, can partake on a journey like this, because there's going to be a lot of peaks and valleys, and there's going to be a lot of times where there's going to be self-doubt, and there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to come off the field beaten and bruised, and kind of like the old Rudy shows, where you just get knocked around, and you're like, my gosh, did I bite off more than I can chew here? Was there one person, or was it just Coach Meyer that just said, hey, you can do this, we believe in you, we see the skills, we see the tools that you've got, the athleticism? What kind of drove you, once you got in up there?
I became great friends, and there were so many people that kind of impacted me, but Urban was that person who and the reason being is, having no mentors, not knowing what to expect, I was thrown into this program that was, Urban had it going right from the start. And I remember going into training camp as a walk-on and, having a great first week. I had so much enthusiasm. I was excited to be there. Yeah. And that all disappeared in week 2. Training camp in football is one of the hardest things that kids are going to have to go through. A lot of kids, especially me. I had a great family. I grew up in a good house. There wasn't a lot of things that were hard in my life. And training camp was hard. I was becoming a man. I didn't think I was babied, but I was babied compared to what was happening up there. They were there to win, and they were there to break you down and build you up. And the physicality,
Mama's boys ain't gonna cut it now.
Yeah, no, I was playing with men out there, and I was getting hit. I'd wake up bruised. I could barely walk, and just the time. We woke up at 6 a.m. We went to bed at 10 p.m. It was football all day. We were watching film. We were getting, in the film room, a lot of parents don't understand too, is, in college you're in a film room with 100 other guys, and you're watching every single play that you did out there. And a lot of times you mess up, and you're in front of all your peers. They're breaking you down and making you feel like you might be the worst player ever, and it's all part of the process. But that was very new. That was very new to me, and it's very new to a lot of kids. And so, it's midway through training camp, I came to the conclusion that, I don't know what I was thinking. Football isn't very fun.
It's tough.
And I really was. I was like, man, I live 15 minutes from campus. I don't need to play football. Yeah. I can go get a job like all my friends and live a happy life. Yeah. That's what, in my mind. I had it made up.
Yeah.
I remember packing my suitcase.
Wow.
And I was sitting there for the last team meeting, and I thought that was going to be my last meeting. I was going home.
Yeah.
And
you kind of had your mind set to it. Hey,
yeah, I had it set. I finally, I didn't care. Like, the one thing I couldn't tell my dad that I was quitting, but I made up my mind that I didn't care anymore. I was just going to quit. So
yeah.
Urban kind of saw a look on my face, and instead of conducting the team meeting like he always did, he brought me up to his office, and he kind of just asked what was going on, and instantly, I couldn't even tell him.
Mm-hmm.
I was like choked up, tears coming down my face. And I remember saying, "Coach, I really appreciate the opportunity, but I don't think I love football anymore."
Wow.
And I just remember him kind of smiling, told me to sit down. His exact words was, "Sit down. If you walk out that door, I'll fight you." And so,
wow.
but by this time I'm crying. I was really upset because I didn't want to be a quitter, but I really didn't think I had what it took to be a Division I football player. And it was a moment that I'll never forget because I think a lot of coaches would have let me quit, and for some reason that coach didn't.
Yeah.
He knew me. For some reason, he had an understanding of all his players, and he did exactly the one thing that made me not quit.
Right. Because think about it. Who else? They'd have been like, okay, well, if you want to quit, we don't have time for you. You're either on the bus or you're not. He was a coach. Obviously, what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was into your body language.
Yeah.
Saw the detail on your face.
Yeah.
Disrupted the team meeting to pull you into his office to say, okay, how can I empower you?
Yeah.
Basically, he's not going to let you quit. He's not going to let you quit on yourself. He's not going to let you give up your dream because he knew how bad you wanted it when you first sold yourself to him.
Yeah.
Coaches, think about that, what we're talking about. Be in tune with your players. Know how to connect with your players. Know the body language. Read the body language. Know when someone needs a little extra pat on the back to get through that tough time, because there's going to be tough times within a program, within a season. And if you can take the time, and as a trainer, when your clients come in and they're tired or dragging a little bit, you know by reading their body language that, okay, you know what? We need to change up something a little bit here. We need to do something a little bit different to get a little spark, to get them motivated to get over that hump. And the fact that he did that, I just wanted to elaborate on it because, wow, for him to do that, to see where you're at with your career now, he'd be very proud.
No question. He changed my life.
Yeah.
Because quitting would have taught me a whole lot about nothing. And, so I sit down, still tears in my eyes, and the first thing he asked is what my dad's phone number was.
Wow.
So I just say it.
We're calling Daddy.
Yeah, I just said it mindlessly. I just rattled it off. He dials it. Next thing I know, my dad's on the phone and he's pumped because he's
Urban
proud of
Meyer.
me. Urban Meyer, University of Utah.
It's cool.
And Urban was just like, man, your son is doing so good for us. We're so excited to have him. And I'm just like, man, I don't want to talk to him. So I'm trying to gather myself for him not to know anything's wrong.
Great story.
My dad's like, is everything okay? Yeah, everything's good. Hung up the phone. And, Urban just taught me a life lesson right there. He's like, you are not a quitter, and I will not let you quit. His exact words. And he had been around football for a long time. Ohio State, as a GA and all the stops along the way, an assistant coach, a wide receiver coach for 14 years before he was ever a head coach.
Right.
And he said in all of his years, he never saw someone with the ability that I had, and he would not let me quit.
Wow.
And
great stuff.
Yeah, so he didn't let me quit, and I finished training camp. I still wasn't ecstatic about it, but that was the fuel that, this guy believes in me. I can't quit. Now, hearing my dad's voice, I knew I couldn't quit.
Nice. Yeah.
And, my parents, at that point, I think they understood that I was struggling a little bit, but it was time for me to grow up, and that was the time that it happened, so...
You went from a boy to a man like that.
Yeah, it is tough, and training camp is tough for a lot of kids. It really is. It's tough for a lot of people, but training camp ends, and I remember still, at that point, it was kind of open communication with my dad. Like, you know what? I really don't know if football's my deal. I'm getting killed out here. Confidence was shaking a little bit.
Wow.
Started getting beat up on, being the new guy, didn't have any friends. I didn't spend any time with the players. I got there right at training camp.
Wow.
The rest of them had been going through winter conditioning, spring ball, all of it.
Yeah.
So I was trying to learn the offense, which was way difficult. You know, my football knowledge was very small.
Yeah, but you didn't play in high school.
Yeah,
so
exactly. I was learning everything all at once
on the fly.
Yeah. So I remember playing Utah State was the first game, and I was a second string guy. I played about 20 plays because we were beating up on them pretty good, and you know I had probably 40 family and friends there.
Yeah,
and they were excited. I didn't catch a ball.
Yeah.
I was out there running around.
Yeah.
You know, and my dad asked me after the game if it was all worth it, and I was like, you know what, I don't know. I enjoyed the stadium, but you don't I was trying to tell him he didn't understand how hard training camp was. So that he's like, look, give it a couple more weeks and see how you feel. And the next week was Texas A&M. So Texas A&M, I'd looked at their stadium, the 12th man, 100,000 people. I really wanted to go to that stadium, and I still didn't even know if I was on the travel list.
Right.
So Wednesday,
you had to wait to see if your name's on that roster.
Yeah, Wednesday came and I was traveling, so called my parents. I was like, "Look, I'm going to Texas A&M." So they bought plane tickets and they flew out there.
There you go.
And I remember warming up, just thinking how cool it was to be on that field.
Yeah.
And all those people.
Just in that atmosphere and environment.
Yeah, it was so loud. And and first about midway through the second quarter, our first string guy breaks his ribs, and I was still just sitting there, you know, on the sideline, looking in awe of the whole situation. I hear my name being yelled at, and I run out there, helmet on. And
well, at least you didn't run out there without your helmet.
Right on. and now it matters. We're down 20-0 already, and we're getting our butts kicked.
Yeah.
And so there was about 2 series before halftime, and I think I messed up probably 90% of the plays. One time I lined up on the wrong side of the ball. I couldn't even think out there. I didn't know if I was going to throw up.
Everything was loud.
TV was loud.
So it's kind of like in the movie Any Given Sunday where Jamie Foxx is out there and everything's moving too quick and he couldn't concentrate the focus.
I was just running around. I didn't know what I was doing. And so it was hot. It was in September. So halftime comes and I'm in the locker room and I'm just sweating. Like, you know, I barely caught my breath.
Yeah.
We're down 28-0 at halftime, and Urban comes stomping in. You know, he's an intense guy. Yeah. And he sought me out. Yeah. He sought me out in front of the whole team. Yeah. You know, he's screaming at the top of his lungs. Yeah. And he's, you know, he's not motivated. You know, he was motivating me, but it didn't feel like motivating. Yeah. He was, you know, he was like, basically his exact words is, "There's 100,000 people out there who don't care if you're scared or not." He's like, "I don't care if you're scared or not. We don't have anybody else." He said in front of the team, "If we had one other person, we'd put him in the game, but we don't." And so
you're the guy.
Yeah. And so I remember a couple of my buddies just pat me on the back and me put my head down. Like that speech right there did not help one bit in my mind. Yeah. Right. And he's an intense guy. He's trying to win a game, and then he addressed the rest of the team. And I remember seeing the first string guy that broke his ribs. Yeah. And in my mind, I was like, man, I really hope he's okay. Yeah. I don't know if I'm ready for this. This is what I've always wanted. Yeah. I don't know if I'm ready for the moment. And talked to him. He said, "No, broken ribs. You're out there, buddy." So second half came out. I settled down. We started coming back. We were no huddle the whole second half. Big play in the fourth quarter. It was 4th and 15. I catch about a 40-yard bomb, you know, for a first down. Nice. First ever catch. Yeah. Our sideline's going crazy because we're coming back.
Yeah, you're amped.
Now we're down 28-20 with 8 seconds left. Yeah. And we have one play on our 50-yard line. Quarterback rolls out. I catch a touchdown in the end zone to almost tie the game up. So we go for 2. And at the time, Brett Elliott was a quarterback. Alex Smith was a backup. Right. So we go for 2 to tie the game up. Yeah. He rolls out and tries to dive in the end zone. We're about 2 inches short, and he breaks his wrist. So he's out for 4 weeks, and that's how Alex started. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alex Smith started in that game.
Everybody knows where he's at.
Yeah. And anyway, we lost the game, but I was so, I mean, that moment right there, I would have done training camp. I would have done the whole thing over a million times. Right. That moment in the end zone, like, I'll never forget for the rest of my life.
Well, think about it. You were given the opportunity. Yeah. You seized the moment once you got yourself calmed down and realized what environment you were in. Yeah. But any time in life, we never know when that opportunity is going to come. Exactly. But once you get that opportunity, will you maximize on that opportunity?
Yeah, you have to be ready. Like you did. Yeah, you have to be ready. And so I had 2 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah. And my parents were in the stands.
Yeah.
And all the fans were mobbing them. They
Yeah.
were like, "Who's 23?" My mom's up there yelling, and, that's my son. And
that's
my dad
awesome.
actually said that he thinks he fainted to this day. He went down on a knee, and just the joy of the moment.
Yeah, overwhelmed.
And just them being there.
Yeah.
And I came out of the locker room and had to do the first news story that I've ever had to do. There was 15,
which you've never practiced for,
Yeah,
ever prepared for.
15,
Now there's microphones in your
15
face.
microphones in my face,
Yeah.
and they all wanted to know how.
Kind of like Jerry Maguire. They
Yeah.
come out to talk to.
Yeah. They want to know how a person that didn't play high school football could have a moment like that.
Wow.
So I kind of became this little media sensation for a week or two.
Yeah.
I was on all the local news channels
There you
doing
go.
shows, and I didn't know how to do an interview.
Yeah.
And all of it was just so surreal.
Yeah.
And that one moment made me, made up for all of the hardness of training camp and everything that I went through. And like I said, it's something that's hard for a lot of kids.
Yeah,
and,
to even grasp. Well, but now you're taking those experiences, you're taking the knowledge and expertise of knowing what these kids are going through, and now you're applying that to them to help them with your strength and conditioning program. But let's real quickly go into, after the University of Utah, you have an NFL career.
Yeah.
Share quickly with the viewers about your NFL career and how those things have culminated to now your strength and conditioning program, where you've got a great facility and kids are able to learn from you, and you help prepare them for that moment, just like you shared.
Yeah. So that sophomore year, I didn't. I played a lot of special teams.
Mm-hmm.
I had a role that wasn't as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
Going into my junior year, I earned that starting role, and we won the Fiesta Bowl undefeated.
Okay. Yeah.
And had a great year. Caught a touchdown in the Fiesta Bowl, and from that moment, a week after the Fiesta Bowl, I had agent after agent after agent calling me. They were getting a head start on the following year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, these are NFL agents calling me and
Yeah.
kind of telling me how good I am.
So let's go through the process again, just to remind the viewers. Never played in football, high school. You end up at Snow.
Yep.
You walk on and sell yourself to Urban Meyer. You're ready to quit. You're ready to go home.
Yeah.
You have a little 15 minutes of fame, flash in the pan, and now you win the Fiesta Bowl, undefeated, national champions, and now you're fielding calls from agents. So you weren't prepared for interviews, but now you're getting calls from agents wanting to represent you to put you on the highest level. To go from playing on Friday nights, which you never did, to playing on Saturdays, to now going to Sundays.
Yep.
Big time.
So, and that pushed me to work even harder.
Yeah.
I was determined to, have a phenomenal year.
Mm-hmm.
And Urban Meyer had left. He went to Florida. Whittingham took over. We had new coaching staff. And Mel Kiper, he's kind of the draft analysis expert.
The guru.
Yeah, right before the season started, I was number 4, the fourth, in his opinion, the 4th best wide receiver in the whole nation.
Wow.
So, and this is a big ESPN publication. So
You're
that article came out, and then even more agents were calling.
Right.
So I didn't know how to deal with it.
Who's John Madsen?
Yeah.
They're doing their research now.
I was having my dad fill the calls and kind of eliminate some, and I didn't want to get too caught up in it with my senior season being.
You want to focus on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do because now I wanted to win, but I also wanted to catch 10 balls. I also wanted to have success individually, and that whole year was real stressful because winning the Fiesta Bowl I wasn't thinking about the NFL. I was there doing whatever I was told, winning games, having fun, and my senior year was now stressful.
Wow.
If I caught 0 balls, that my draft stock was getting affected.
Right.
And always being a team player, it's really it's still hard because you want the best for yourself. I wanted the NFL, so I really was battling. I'm not a selfish guy, but I really needed.
Right.
You
got to market yourself. Promote.
But then in the middle of the season, I started catching my groove. I had a 12-catch game, a couple strung together, some 100-yard games, multiple touchdown games, and was putting together a really strong season.
Do you think it came because you kept or you quit pressing so hard, putting so much pressure on yourself that now the hard work, the repetitions, the technique, the foot plants, to gain that little half step, is that where it might have kind of taken off for you?
It was a new offense, new coaches. Brian Johnson was 18 years old. Brian Johnson was young, right out of high school.
Yeah.
So he was learning. He was learning on the way. We had another great receiver, Travis Latondras, who, if I was having a great game, they were taking away him, and then he would have a great game because I was getting double teamed. So it was
Pick their poison.
Yeah. And we started learning how to play as a team, and we had 3 games left, and I started to taste the second and third round money. That's what all the agents had they were talking about. The combine was coming up. They were almost sure that I was going to get invited, and all in one moment, I broke my leg, and so I missed the rest of the season. I couldn't really run I wasn't able to run and be myself for 10 months. So
that's hard.
Missed the combine. So all the scouts wanted to see me run and see how I was healing up. Missed the combine. Then I had an opportunity at Pro Day when they came to Utah to evaluate me. I still couldn't run. So my agent and my school set up a second Pro Day a month later, in which 4 scouts still flew out to be there, and I still couldn't run.
Yeah.
And just a disappointment of,
handling the adversity.
Yeah. And so I had chosen an agent, and he said, look, nobody's going to draft you. They don't know, if you're healed up or whatnot.
What kind of asset you can be to the franchise because you've been injured, and once you get injured, the stock goes down, your marketability goes down.
So after all that, I went undrafted to the Oakland Raiders, and not only that,
just win, baby.
Yeah, Al Davis. Yeah, and not only that, being undrafted, Al Davis came to me and said, "You're not." In fact, he didn't even come to me. He just basically told the coaches to move me from wide receiver to tight end. So I never played tight end before. I was 225 pounds.
Wow.
Tight ends in the NFL are 245 light ones to 270 pounds.
Right.
So I had a lot of work to do. And good thing I love the weight room, because that helped learning how to gain that weight. And keep in mind, I had got myself from 170 pounds in high school to play at the University of Utah my senior year at 225, and then I had to get to 250.
Right.
So it was this huge process. And,
and it is that.
Yeah. So I experienced some success. I not very many undrafted guys make the opening day roster.
Right.
Usually they say 1 every 2 years. So I was that guy. I went in there in training camp. There was 8 tight ends in the room who all had over 3 years experience, and I was this new guy who had never played. And before training camp was over, about 5 weeks, I made my way all the way up to number 3. Wow. And before the end of the season, I was number 2 and had a few starts, actually. So, I had a touchdown against the Chargers that year. That year, the coaches got fired. They brought new ones in. So in my three-year career in Oakland, I went through Art Shell as a head coach, Kiffin, and Tom Cable. So 3 different coaches, 3 different years.
3 different philosophies.
3
different systems.
Yeah. So, I battled a lot of adversity, and then I got released at the end of my 3rd year. Got signed by Cleveland, who really wanted me to be that kind of inside receiver tight end. And so through the last 2 games, Romeo Crennel was there. He got fired. So I was there for 2 days, and he got fired.
Change again.
Yeah, so then they brought in Mangini, who had different ideas. He wanted me to be a real tight end, one that could even play fullback in some cases, and was a real bad fit for what my body types and strengths were.
Sure.
He wanted me to fit in. Probably my biggest weaknesses was what he wanted me to be. So just not a good fit. And after that, my career was pretty much over. So I made it. I made that dream come true, and had a great time doing it. But there was a lot of perseverance through walking on. I pretty much walked on 3 times at Snow, at Utah, and at Oakland.
Right, and then have to endure an injury, which sometimes they can be career-ending because people don't want to take a chance on a guy who's been hurt. So there's some perseverance that's going on there too. But obviously, a lot of mental toughness and a lot of mental fortitude on your part, which segues you into what is now your career, in which you do a fantastic job on. Bob, let's take a quick 1-minute break, and we're going to let John Madsen talk about what he does now to help these athletes of today reach their dreams. All right, we are back on the Coach Scott Field Show talking with John Madsen. Now your professional career has kind of come to an end, and the things that I see now, obviously a lot of the life lessons that you've learned throughout your journey, through your college career and also in the NFL, which is a dream to many kids to ever lace them up and play on a Sunday. How neat that you have that as part of your expertise. But now you're taking that expertise and taking those hardships and taking those hard lessons that you've learned from and have had to grow from, and now you're empowering kids at all levels with strength and conditioning. Let's talk about that process, because you were a young kid that was thin, athletic, obviously had a skill set and some athleticism that you were blessed with, and now you're teaching them how to do it. And I've seen myself with my own eyes, some of these young kids that are 16, 17 years old, who you've got on nutrition programs, they're hitting the weights, their bodies are filling out, and you can actually see a difference in their confidence with their body language on how they walk onto the court or off the field. And it's like, he's getting stronger. You can see it. And, of course, me, I'm just going to ask him, hey, I'll mention the one young man's name, Spencer. I'll say, Spencer, man, you're working hard. You're looking good. What are you doing? I'm working with John Madsen. And I kept hearing, John Madsen, John Madsen, John Madsen. I said, this guy, John Madsen, has got a magic stick, because you've got men and women in all ages transforming their bodies, but also gaining confidence. What is it, and how are you doing? I mean, you obviously have a great facility now. So let's talk about your strength and conditioning program, the athletes that you're working with, getting players from high school to college, taking other college players to the professional levels like you have done. It doesn't matter what walk of life or what career you're in. I've seen the physical results myself with my own eyes with these young kids, and wow, I mean, they're really growing. And I'm so excited to have my son work with you, because he's a little 5'10", 130 pounds soaking wet. He just hasn't grown into his body yet, and we feel like, of course, he's cut up and he works hard, or in his mind he thinks he's working hard, but obviously you could take him to another level. Educate the viewers on how you take these kids and these athletes and help them get to the next level.
Yeah.
It's a process.
It is a process. Strength and conditioning and fitness is my passion. So reading about it, researching, just diving headfirst into there's a wealth of knowledge out there from people who are very, very smart. And, the program, and I do my best to create the best program possible.
For each individual.
Right,
because everybody's different.
There's a lot of science that's
Metabolisms
involved.
that are different.
Yeah. There's a lot of science involved. And, but at the end of the day, with most of these kids, it's a couple things. It's, one, they really believe in what I'm doing with them. They believe in me, whether it's my story that made them believe, whether it's taking a look at their friend who's been doing it for a year and seeing the results.
Right, like I have.
So every time a kid comes in, there's this belief that I'm gonna help take them there. And there's a lot of people get caught up on a magic training program or a magic supplement that's going to help. And there's no quick fixes.
That's
like
right.
That. And and there's different programs, and there's not one road to get to the end goal. But if a kid doesn't believe in the teacher or the coach, he doesn't have a chance.
That's right.
And so I really
we got to be honest. If a kid's going to come to you, again, they're going to have to be accountable.
Yeah.
They're going to have the work ethic. You can't touch them with a magic stick on the shoulder and say, you're going to gain 45 pounds if they're just sitting around eating ding-dong, ho-hos, and Twinkies and sitting around playing PS4 for 8 hours.
That's right.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to have to work. You're going to make them work. You can lead the way. It's like leading a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So a kid or an athlete, whatever, male or female, is going to have to understand there's a lot of work and discipline that's going to have to go into it. Whether it's discipline with their eating and their nutrition, which is a regimen, which they're going to have to do. I mean, let's be honest. You're passionate about it. It's your expertise. But I just want to point out that you can lead the way, but if they're not willing to sacrifice and be disciplined and do it religiously, it's not going to work.
Not going to work, no. And the other part of that is, you just touched upon it, is that hard work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my training facility is not a $1 million training facility with, you know, fad machines and fad training. It's warehouse style. The kids come in, they go to work.
You're not there to socialize. You're there to get it in.
They go there. They do the work. I lay it out there. You know, I give them a plan for success. Mm-hmm. We set some lofty goals, and I help them achieve them by writing out a plan. And I get kids that are really, really hungry. Mm-hmm. You know, 99% of the kids I work with are driven, and it's awesome.
Have to be.
It's awesome because I feel like my clientele is a lot of the underdog kids. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that kind of thrill you? Because you were once that underdog kid yourself. So that's where that passion comes from.
And I wasn't the superstar in high school. You know, if people thought that one kid at Hunter High School was going to play in the NFL, you know, or any professional sport, my name wasn't on that list.
Right, sure.
You know, and for some reason that I was deeply driven by that. I carried, you know, a sort of chip on my shoulder that I was going to let everyone know that I could do it. Yeah. And a lot of the kids I get, you know, I see, you know, they want to step into that stardom. And most of them don't come to me and have it right away. A lot of them aren't the superstars. They're kids that maybe just want to make the team. Maybe they're on the outside looking in just to make the team. Maybe they're second string. They're trying to catch that first stringer, or maybe they're going into their senior year and they haven't been All-State or mentioned yet, and that's their goal. Is to get that recognition and have a great senior year. So each kid is a little bit different. Each athlete is a little bit different, but the one thing that they do, they believe in me, and I obviously believe in them. You know, I come from my story is something that I'm not gonna limit these kids. Whatever dream they have,
they'll set their own ceiling.
Yeah, whatever dream they have, I'm gonna help them get there. And
I like it.
So then the strength program is based on, you know, what they need most, and 95% of them, basketball, football, tennis, soccer, these kids need strength. And just kind of the psychology that, you know, me being that kid that wasn't the strongest, that had a desire to be stronger. You know, a lot of it, I'm training athletes, but I know what they really want. Yeah. And a lot of these kids desire
the carrot in front of a little bit.
These kids desire to be bigger, to be more powerful, to be stronger. And you know, that's what they want. They want to be bigger. They want to be stronger. They, you know, they want to be a better basketball player. Yeah. And what I know that I'm giving them is so much more that they'll realize. They'll all realize, you know, sometimes they might not realize until they're 30, looking back on why they got to college. And that's what I did with the trainer that I had in high school. Without him, it was a size. Yeah. But more than that, that was the confidence that I had to walk on at playing football. Right. Without that confidence, there was no walking on. I couldn't play. Yeah. And so a lot, and I go to these kids' games a lot. You know, I go to the field.
Support them, right?
I watch them play because I have a lot invested in them.
That's right.
And I enjoy watching them because they work so hard for me. And the thing that I notice, and the thing that parents will say over and over again, is their confidence is so much better. Wow. And I think that's cool. You know, that's awesome. That's a gift that, you know, kids, you know, female athletes, male athletes, they need, because you can't perform your best if you're second guessing yourself.
That's right. Or they may have a coach who has kind of depleted their confidence and have said all along, oh, you can't do this and you're no good at that, and so of course they're gonna wilt.
Yeah.
So you got to build them up. There's an emotional fuel tank that you're also, but probably the plyometric, isometric, footwork, stabilization, core. I mean, here I am talking about all this stuff because I've been around it, I've been thrust in it, but you're great at what you do.
Oh, thank you.
And it's fun to watch these athletes at all different levels. I mean, you work hard. I like the fact that it's not about socializing up there at your gym. You're telling them, hey, you're going to work, and this is the plan that you're going to have to do. But I like the fact that you individualize the programs for each individual and each client that you work with. It's personalized. You're going to hold them accountable. You're going to teach them work ethic. You're going to do all the things that they need to do. And obviously, you're going to see things in them that they don't see in themselves yet. And again, there's that process because the microwave society that we live in, everybody wants it for nothing.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to work. But what are some of the core things that you work on, the stabilization muscles, the footwork, all the things that because of the journey you've been on that they're going to need, whether it's volleyball, whether it's softball, whether it's basketball, whether it's football. What things do you see when a client walks into your office and you're thinking, okay, we got a lot of work?
Yeah.
What's the first things what you look at?
Strength. It's really people make it to be way more complicated than it needs to be. Mm-hmm. As an elite athlete in the NFL, sometimes you need to train. Your training becomes complex because you've developed that strength over time. You've developed all those skills, and you find yourself at the top. So you need to find ways to keep pushing your body and doing certain things. The bulk of my clientele, middle schoolers and high schoolers, whether any sport, whatever the sport is I look at them and strength is a limiting factor.
Yeah.
In order to jump higher, these basketball players need to get stronger. And there's always, and what screws everybody else up is outliers, because there's always going to be that one kid who's not strong, who wouldn't impress you strength wise, who can jam a basketball, and then you're thinking, well, that guy can dunk. He's not.
But think
strong.
what he could do if he did the extra.
And that's the one. That's 1%ers. I played with Randy Moss. I didn't really see him in the weight room, and he was one of the best athletes I've ever seen in my life. But he's a 1%er.
Right.
So these kids, they want to dunk. They want to jump higher. The strength component is huge. Most of these high school kids aren't strong enough.
Right.
And if they are, and when I get them there, then the training becomes more complex. We can do a whole bunch of power training, and the training becomes, like I said, more complex.
Well, they have to build that foundation first. And obviously, you're going to teach a lifestyle, because what they were doing before wasn't working. Now, they may think they're working hard, but they're not. So you're going to teach them how to work hard, how to work smart, but yet give them a foundation to build from and grow from.
Yeah.
Is obviously what that process is and step is.
And not only that, teaching them how to do it right.
The techniques, so they don't get hurt.
Sometimes, and it's unfortunate, I have to take five steps backwards in order to go forwards, because what they've learned or observed in their high school gyms or high school weight training classes is completely wrong. Yeah. And kids are hurting themselves. They develop really, really bad habits. Yeah. Because like I said, a boy's gonna want to be strong, so he'll go in there, and his determination is gonna be in there. And if he never learns, he's doing it all wrong.
Right.
And
the technique.
So and then injuries happen.
Right.
So,
well, it's just like for you watching someone on a bench press or dumbbell flies or military press. You see when someone's arched their back or putting too much strain on the spine, and just like us, when we see someone trying to shoot the mechanics of a jump shot and their feet aren't where the shoulders aren't. Well, you got to crawl before you walk, walk before you run, and the same thing applies. It's applicable to the strength and conditioning and building that core.
And you have that coach's eye, and you see it, and it's my job to fix it. And once the technique's there, and we're building that strength foundation, then the plyometrics come in, and then you can even do some Olympic lifting variations to where you're maximizing power.
Right.
And the power is where the jumping ability comes from.
Right.
So and just to answer your question in a long roundabout way is, like I said before, the strength is so huge.
Yeah.
And most people, that simple
They don't
fact,
have it.
they don't have it. And
Yeah.
it's really simple. You gotta train your body to adapt and train it again and keep it adapting so that it's constant progression.
Right. Well,
and as a beginner, it's not that hard to do.
right. Well,
but-
how many times do you see a client that comes in and they plateau and then they get frustrated and they're not getting the growth because they're not changing?
Yeah.
So I'm sure for you, you're like, okay, you're observing that they're about to plateau, so you got to change a little something to
Yes.
tweak the muscle to,
Yeah, and it's not even that much.
Right.
It's
Just a little bit angle
it's a
or
little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit. Or
That's
it's,
cool.
Or it's a little bit more recovery.
Yeah.
And just to touch on that really fast is the training's only one aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I always draw a pie chart for my clients.
Nice.
Training's number 1, nutrition's number 2,
Nice.
and recovery's number 3. And
Yeah.
not in any particular order.
Right.
They're all even.
Let's be honest. The nutrition aspect, gosh, the way athletes eat when they're not taught properly. I mean, you see professional franchises spend millions of dollars on the nutrition aspect of it, because if you're not getting the proper amounts of proteins or the proper amounts of carbs, the sugars for your body, I mean, the natural sugars, they need to learn what that is.
Yeah.
And you can help them expedite that process by making them eat properly. The 3 meals of the day, and then your snacks in between, and making sure that your intake is where it should be.
Yeah, just the education. It's amazing how when I sit down and talk to a new athlete, and I ask them what a protein is, or not even what it is.
Yeah.
What they can eat to get it.
Yeah, they don't know.
They don't
Yeah.
know.
It's not that corn dog out of the freezer, huh?
I don't know if I would have known either. I can't remember back that far. But it's really unfortunate because these kids really don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And that's just the nutrition part. The weight training part, they have zero idea where to start. So
Wow.
I mean,
Good stuff.
if a kid goes in and starts working out on his own, he can get results, but without any knowledge, it's going to take so long.
Yeah. Right.
So my job is to come in there, and like we said, nothing's quick fix, but I'm gonna put them on that road to results as fast as I possibly can.
Right. Because they're going to want to see some kind of result immediately. They're going to be like, this is not working.
You got to give them. They got to see some success early. But there's not one way. There's not only one right way.
Yeah.
But there's a lot better ways to get there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say this, Bob. I've seen athletes work with John, and I don't care if you're just locally here in the Salt Lake Valley. I don't care if you're just in the West, or if you're someone on the East Coast right now watching this show, even though it's a little bit later, you can go back and archive it. Even the international athletes, when I coached professionally over in China, they had no strength and conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
They're just now starting to learn and grasp that. And when I would slowly incorporate that as part of my daily routines of what we do throughout the day, it was amazing because they'd never had it. They had results quickly within 4 or 5 weeks, because they're like, wow, they're starting to feel stronger. And then they're starting to get a little more confident. And, so you're taking these young Asian kids. So I don't care if you're from South Korea, China, Taiwan, Uzbekistan, you need to give John Madsen a call, because he can put you on a plan and a strategy to get your body right so you can compete at the highest levels, but also just feel good about yourself and what you're doing. Maybe you could take someone who's in the business arena and has to do presentations, and if they feel more confident about themselves, they're going to go up there and make a better presentation to the people they're trying to make a sale to. So it's applicable to anybody. So it doesn't just have to be an athlete. And so I want to make sure I can say that not just athletes, you can work with anybody and help them maximize the most, from their bodies physically.
Yeah, no question. I mean, that's those people don't have the time to, I've got a wealth of knowledge about the subject.
Right.
I can teach them really fast.
There you go.
And,
well, it's your expertise and your passion.
And the confidence that anybody would get. But,
right.
The nutrition and how to. Most people don't even know what it feels like to feel good.
Yeah.
They're so used to, feeling kind of groggy and headachy and all that stuff, and they don't even put two and two together.
Maybe
it's
someone,
their food.
Maybe you got female clients who have thyroid problems, or maybe hypoglycemic, and they don't know why they're hypoglycemic or why they're hitting that wall and crashing. And so maybe just a little bit of tweak in their nutrition, you could put them on the right path. And Bob, I'm so fired up right now. Here I am in my mid-40s. I'm ready to go hit the gym with John. I'm gonna be up there with the kids. Just feeling good. I'm pumped up. But I highly recommend anybody to look you up. Where can they find you? I know we've got your Twitter handle, John_Madsen at Twitter. They can contact you there. You also have a website. Share with the viewers your website, your team, JMP. Go ahead.
Yeah. So www.teamjmp, as in John Madsen Performance, is a website. And I ask anybody and everybody who has questions, who needs help, even if they're not in Salt Lake City. Send me an email. I'm willing to help. I love helping athletes. The ones that are hungry, I do whatever I can to help, and even if it's a simple question, I'd be more than happy to answer it.
Well, that's awesome. Just the fact that you'll take the time to try to put them on the right path, no matter where they're at within their own programs, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are afraid to get started because they are physically weak, and they have that little stigma about going to the gym, and they see guys, pounding, 220, and they're like, okay, I'm starting on 60.
Yeah, you got to get over that somewhere.
That's right.
People do feel like everyone starts somewhere.
Or maybe they've started a program and they've plateaued and now they're getting frustrated. It doesn't matter where you're at within your program or within your process. Give John a call, and I guarantee you he's going to get you right. I believe in him. I've seen the results firsthand. Reach out to him and make sure you tell him you seen him on the Coach Scott Field Show. So we'll come back here in just a short break, and we'll finish up here with John Madsen. I'm ready to hit the wind.
There you go.
Let's do it.
Pumped up.
Oh, shoot. It's good stuff. Nice. Well, do you have any closing remarks or anything that you want to share, or just words of wisdom or a little... Did your wife stay to watch it?
She's doing her own show right now.
She's on fire.
She probably just got
We are back on the Coach Scott Field Show, and we're sitting here with John Madsen, who has shared a great journey, and you've shared multiple nuggets with our viewers. How to begin the process, how not to get discouraged with the process. I know and believe that the things that you do can help individuals. Have you ever worked with individuals that have had physical limitations where, maybe they've got, an arthritis or a gout and they're having trouble getting over, a hump, or maybe they've had a career-ending injury and they've, had an ACL and they're going through the therapeutic process to rehabilitate. Have you worked with individuals like this as well?
Yeah, injuries are just something that happen in sports.
Part of it.
I see, unfortunately, guys that tear an ACL or have an injury or
rotator cuff, maybe.
Yeah, all that stuff. You can limit it. You can limit it through proper strength training and knowledge about your body. But I broke my leg and it had nothing to do with anything other than me getting rolled up. That ankle rolled from behind and then
wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, so those things are going to happen, and the hardest part for an athlete is a mentality. Even when they're ready, they don't really trust themselves to be ready.
Yeah.
Even when the doctor says you can go, it's still going to hurt.
Yeah.
And there's still going to be things in the
It's
back
the
of your mind.
mental part,
you don't really trust it. So that's very hard, and I think I can be a really good mentor for people like that. But one of my buddies, unfortunately, he was a wide receiver with me at Snow College, and he's been on the heart transplant list for 2 years.
Wow.
And so this guy, he's battling a bad heart. He's 30 years old. Was in good physical condition, was actually playing semi-pro football. And after one of the games, he couldn't breathe. Something was going on, and he was sick for about 2 weeks. And he went to the hospital, and right away they got him on the heart transplant list.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's an inspiration. He's been in the gym. And that's scary for me. He's such a competitor.
Yeah.
And just a really dear friend of mine that I grew up in the dorms with at Snow College.
Yeah.
And
source of inspiration now.
Yeah. I mean, I just wish him all the best, and he's in such good spirits all the time, and just seeing him, seeing him battle that makes a lot of my problems or stresses in my day feel really, really small. And, when he's not there, I'm always thinking about him and praying about him and hoping that, he's going to get what he needs.
Yeah.
But, that guy comes in and tries to work out sometimes.
Gets it done, huh? That's awesome.
He's in there with a bad heart and
Great
doing
story.
what he's got to do sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's way above and beyond any ACLs or those things are minor.
Yeah.
And compared to something that big, that's real minor. So
and thinking about it, I mean, our thoughts and prayers go with him. But you've been given a gift. It's a God-given gift that, you've got a passion, you have an enthusiasm, and you're able to help people. Now, share just another testimony or story with a success story. I mean, there's going to be, some kids are either going to work. Yeah. Some athletes it will, some it won't. Yeah. But share another success story of maybe an athlete that you're working with that, has reached a certain goal and you were able to guide him, to his success. Do you have another story that you can share with us?
Yeah,
about success?
I have probably over 60 kids that are playing, college ball right now. And two stories come to mind. And I'll just be real fast with both of them.
Oh, take time.
When I first opened, there was a kid who emailed me and really wanted to start training and said that he wanted to walk on at Snow College.
Nice.
And this kid was a Hunter High kid, so West Valley, and
full circle.
Full circle. So when I saw him, he was riding his bike. So I was like, you go to Hunter High School. How'd you get clear out in Draper? My facility was on 126 South. Wow. And so this kid rode his bike from West Valley to tracks to, I think, 106th, and then rode his bike to the facility.
That's wanting it.
That's wanting it. And, he said that he was willing to do it every day. And I said, if he's never late, I'll train him for as long as he wants.
Wow.
And he got there, and I'll never forget, he could bench 95 pounds. He was about 140 pounds, said he wanted to play college football, and kid never missed a day.
Wow.
And so 6 months later, he was 185 pounds.
Wow.
And he was the only wide receiver that made it as a walk-on at Snow College.
Nice.
He had, he just finished his
Good job.
sophomore year. And
congratulations.
Just kids like that really, really want it. They have something to prove. I don't know. For me, again, if I look back, I don't know even where that came from.
Yeah.
And this kid's the same. It was there. That desire was there, and he took it. And he's still believing in his dream.
There you go.
And then
there you go.
Another story, an 8th grader who came to me. Skinniest kid I've probably ever seen.
Okay.
Looked like a skeleton running out there.
Well, now you say that 8th grade. When is it too early to start? Do you have a belief, or can they just go lightweight, more reps when they're that young? Or
a lot of it. So movement patterns at early age is really good.
Okay.
You don't want to wait. You don't want to wait too long because you want them to play early. A lot of these kids have desires to go to college. They can't sit around and wait for their senior year to start. You know, they gotta get ready. So you got to teach them movement patterns first, then body weight training. So huge with kids. I have 5th, 6th, 7th grade kids that we're not loading them up with squatting with bars loaded, or doing high impact plyometric drills. But they're mastering body weight movements. These kids, I want them to rip out 15 pull-ups and be able to rip out 50 perfect push-ups.
Yeah, so you build that foundation.
Yeah, and learn how to body weight squat so that
with technique.
So that when their body's ready, if that is their sophomore year, they hit at full speed. And the other sophomore who's never done any of that, is way behind.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a lot longer.
There
so
you go. Yeah.
it is, you can start really early and they learn.
Nice.
So,
well, I didn't mean to sidetrack you. I was just curious just to share with the viewers
definitely.
that,
That's
they
a
can
question
start
I
anytime.
get asked all the time.
Yeah, but go ahead with your success story there.
So yeah, this kid was 100 pounds and he wanted to play high school ball, and he was definitely on the outside looking in. He was not the greatest athlete I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And very, 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 probably one of the weakest kids I've ever seen. Like I said, it was skin and bone. And his parents were very supportive. He started eating, he didn't even like to eat, but we were forcing that food down.
Yeah, right.
And again, he was always there. He was always, the consistency is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And now this kid is going to go into his senior year. And I've had him for that many years. So he started, and his dad will tell you, he didn't even have a vertical. He could barely get his toes off the ground.
Wow.
And I have really high boxes for kids to jump on.
Plyometric.
Little plyometric boxes. This kid holds the all-time record.
Is
He's
that
going
right?
into his senior year, and now he's 179 pounds.
Wow.
So from 100, he's also grown taller. So
Sure.
it's not all just
Yeah.
muscle, but.
Yeah.
As he's grown taller, he's 179 pounds. Our goal is 200 by his basketball season, his senior year. But he's a standing jump. He landed 54 inches off the ground.
Wow.
And I'm a really good leaper myself, but
Yeah.
I haven't touched that.
Wow.
And, he did
That's
it with these. So now we're ordering higher boxes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and just seeing that progression has been amazing. It's opened my eyes because this kid, I didn't know. Mm-hmm. He was so weak and couldn't jump at all.
Yeah.
That I didn't know if even
That's
I
gotta
did
be
it.
fun
Yeah.
for you.
So seeing this whole, and a long process, by the way, it's been
Sure.
4 years now.
Yeah.
But the one common denominator of both those kids is consistency.
Yeah.
They wanted it, and they didn't take any time off.
Yeah.
They are
grinding.
there
They're
3
grinding.
and 4 times a week.
Nice.
And then when it's a season, they're getting in maybe once or twice to just maintain. But they learn to love the weight room and the hard work, and the confidence is amazing. And even though the jumping ability is there now, it's the confidence that I see the most.
Well, the thing that I like, both of those success stories, they were self-driven.
Yeah.
They were motivated. They wanted it.
They had
and
to do it.
You bridled that and harnessed it, and then now look at the results that you're getting because of their hard work.
Yep.
Outstanding. Well, continue doing what you're doing. It's fun to see your passion and enthusiasm to want to help these kids reach and achieve their dreams, and I want you to continue doing that because I think you're one of the best doing it. So
Thank you.
I
really
see
appreciate
great
it.
things for you in your future.
No, I thank you.
Do your thing,
Yeah,
John.
thank
All right,
you.
man. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight to the Coach Scott Field Show. It's been a great night here. And John's going to go off on his ways. He's going to go be with his bride a little bit.
That's
so,
right.
Again, good luck with that.
Thank you.
It's going to be great for you. She's going to be a great bounce. If you're as lucky as I am, I overachieve because when people see pictures with me with my wife, they're like, that just doesn't fit.
Yeah, right, same.
So we both overachieved there, right? So wish you guys all the best. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next Monday night for another edition of the Coach Scott Field Show. Thanks so much. God bless.